Thank you, Goke666, for following.
Devil number. Remember like June 6th, 2006, when everyone thought the world was gonna 666?
Oh.
I have a vivid memory of that for some reason. Anyways, welcome to the Pinfall podcast. I am your host, Elizabeth, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Marcus.
How well can you do the Undertaker eyes?
I definitely cannot do them because, like, one, I've got a headache, and two, there's a cat in here. But how do you even do it? Like,
I want to try.
I think I'm just closing my eyes. Close, but I can still see the blue of your eyes.
I feel like sometimes you can still see Taker's irises a little bit.
I think like the whole thing is it's like he does it. Like the whole thing is this, and then going like that. Like lift your head back. See, you're never looking at me when I do it though. I don't have any judgment.
Oh, well, show it to me. Show it to me.
I have such a bad headache after this. Cat also jumped up and was like, "Hello."
Just do it for a little bit.
All right, so let's see. If this is horrible, this means somebody has seen this 3 times. Horribly. All right, so. Is it bad? You have really big eyes.
Goka's right. It does look like you're making an orgasm face when you do that.
Selling points, boys.
All right, so
if that's how somebody looks when they're orgasming, you might have different problems though. Or you're just really good at sex.
Maybe. So Survivor Series.
The idea of somebody making the Undertaker face and fucking getting one off.
With even like the.
Imagine you're having sex with somebody. And like you're right at that point, and all of a sudden they make that face, and you're like.
You just hear a gong.
Undertaker appears in your bed.
From Death Valley.
Ball bear somehow the ghost of him is by the side, holding the urn too.
Oh god! All right, Survivor Series.
Taker. Happy Survivor Series, everyone. I wasn't that impressed with it, to be fair.
A lot was anticlimactic, but just to give some quick highlights, I really liked the first 2 matches, and Taker's final farewell I thought was nice.
Right. So the first 2 matches were really good. I really enjoyed them. Everything else kind of was not as good as it nearly could have been for what it was.
Yeah.
Taker's farewell could have been done slightly differently, and I would have been happier. It's nothing to do with what I already complained about, just to you personally.
Mm-hmm.
However, we will discuss that later. In the coming future.
Yes.
Coming to a theater near you soon. But let's get it out of the way. I lost, okay?
All right. So, for anyone who doesn't know, every pay-per-view we do predictions. We do predictions on the outcome of the matches.
Can I start drinking now?
Let me finish. Hold on 1 second. And every incorrect prediction, we have to finish 1 can of hard seltzer before the end of the podcast. Now, we also count up the correct predictions too, and the winner will be whoever has the most correct predictions. And, ladies and gentlemen, Liz had 2 incorrect predictions, leaving her with you had 3 incorrect, leaving you with 3 correct predictions. I had 2 incorrect predictions, leaving me with 4 correct predictions, thus making me tonight's winner. And also, the winner gets to pick a punishment for the loser, and I will let you know what that is before the end of the podcast.
I just want you to understand real fucking quick, because you live in the same house as me. I want you to know that if you make me do anything that fucks up the makeup that I spent an hour on, my foot is going to go so far up your ass, it's going to come out your nose.
You know what? I have an idea of what I'm going to do now. So I want you to leave down all of the signs for the rest of the podcast.
All right. Yeah, the signs that I worked on until 5 a.m. in the morning. Thinking, yeah, I'll leave them down. Leave them down. Wish you would have told me that before I set up the tripod, though.
And there it is.
I just think the humor is that, like, last time you tried to do this, I clearly fucked you out of it because you were like, don't look at your notes. And then I just stopped trying altogether. Yeah. That's mostly because I genuinely do not remember a single thing that happens in any of these matches until I look at my notes. I black out.
And yes, Gok, we are in the same house, but in different rooms because difference in like audio and worrying about like camera and stuff like that. It's very much a podcast. It's constantly improving. We are actually trying to come up with the kind of studio arrangement for us, so just one camera, or you know, one setup, two cameras. We're still trying to figure it out, but we will get there eventually.
Fair, Gog. We for a while I kind of tried to keep it like ambiguous as to whether or not we were in the same place or not. I finally just gave up on that altogether.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mostly because there's some humor to hearing me scream through the wall when I yell at you.
And I think the cat's what gave it away.
Oh, yeah, the cat that sometimes appears in both of our screens.
Yeah. All right, so let's crack open these seltzers. For context, Liz is drinking some Bud Light seltzers. I'm drinking White Claw.
Bud Light has less sugar, therefore it might give me a headache less. Mark doesn't buy Bon and Vive, so I have to suffer through either Bud Light seltzer.
To be fair,
White Claw.
To be fair, the bodega did not have Bon and Vive. It only had White Claw.
Did you go to the one I told you to go to?
Yeah, Segafredo. It did not have. It only had White Claw and Truly, and I know you hate Truly.
Oh, I hate Truly.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. All right. Can we talk about the moment where I almost actually kind of fucking won? Like, for a hot second, we thought that I was actually really smart, and I wasn't.
I'm so mad at how close you got. Because, for context, on Friday, we announced our predictions. And they announced the Battle Royale to start in the pre-show.
For mid-podcast. Yeah. When they announced that.
Mid-podcast. And so, they didn't announce who was going to be in it. So, we just threw out random names to win. I picked Rey Mysterio. Liz picked Chad Gable. We got very lucky in that both of them were there in the first place.
Basically like a consolation prize battle royale where like if you were not in Survivor Series, you were in battle.
Unless you're Tucker. Or any of Retribution.
They wouldn't be there if they had to be.
Thank you for the host, Gok. Much appreciated. Yeah, so Chad Gable got so close to winning. Rey Mysterio somehow was one of the first people eliminated. But Liz, if you want to walk us through the entire match.
I would fucking love to. I felt there was a part of me that knew I wasn't going to be right at the end of the day. For a very long time, I was like, am I going to be right? So I tried to write down the name of everybody that started, and because it's a battle royale, normally we don't take notes on anything. Or I don't take notes on anything until it's like the last 4 people, more or less. But the battle was basically between Miz, John Morrison, Ricochet, Apollo, Jeff Hardy, Cedric, Shelton, Gable, Elias, Shinsuke, Buddy, Ray, Angel Garza, Dominic, Kalisto, Umberto, Robbie, Robert Roode, and Dolph.
You know,
Literally everyone besides a couple people.
I'm surprised Cesaro wasn't in it.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Or Big
I think
E.
Big E was sort of busy.
Yeah.
Cesaro, I don't really know why, but at the same time, I guess like I had just so many people, and I'm not going to do the math because I've had a lot to drink already. I believe it had to have been like an even number between Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
Cesaro is a pretty big name, and I feel like it would be weird for him to just be tossed out at some point for no reason.
Rey Mysterio.
Dude, that was weird. Okay.
Yeah, Robert Roode does still have a job. He just came back to WWE. He's on SmackDown now. Also,
Robert Roode, one of the best walkout songs that they have right now, consistently Robert Roode comes out just like with Dolph. Like Dolph's fighting the night and his song comes on and then Robert's just like, hey, I'm here.
You gotta save it for special moments.
Every becomes a special moment with his song.
Mm-hmm. But I don't want to get tired of it. Like I've gotten tired of some people's songs. But anyway.
Talking about Drew McIntyre?
No, actually I'm not talking about Drew McIntyre.
So okay, Morrison gets out early, Kalisto gets out early, Ray just gets out. He's one of the first in like one of those side note fashions where they're like, oh, and Ray got tossed out, and you see him laying on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Umberto got out, Angel got out, Cedric got out, because Ricochet threw him out. Then Shelton took Ricochet out. Then Apollo took Shelton out. Robert Roode took out Murphy. Dominic took out Robert Roode. In the background, I don't even know if Mark saw this, but in the background, you saw the most piss poor dropkick from Jeff Hardy to Elias.
I did not see it.
It was just, he was doing basement dropkicks everywhere, and I was like, Jeff, did something happen to your back? Did you tweak something this morning? Dom took out Dolph, and then Shinsuke took out Apollo. Shinsuke got out after that. Jeff took out Elias. And it was The Miz, it was Gable, it was Jeff, and it was Dominic. Chad immediately takes out Jeff. And there's a super kick to Dominic. Miz knocks Chad down, or Gable knocks Gable down. And Dom takes The Miz out, in the sense that The Miz is like holding on to the rope for dear fucking life. And Dom basement drop kicks his little ass under the rope.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dom is a baby and doesn't know shit.
Well, no, the thing is, The Miz kind of pulled a sneaky one. He went over the rope initially and was lying on the edge. And then once he knew Dominic was backing up, he rolled back under the rope so he would be kicked through the bottom rope. It's one of those dumb battle royale things where it's like, oh, but was he eliminated? I don't know.
Right. So let me get to the final point, and then I'll talk about that because I got some things to say on it. So yeah, Dom takes The Miz out, and then there's a massive suplex twice to Dominic from Gable. And then like another humongous suplex. Chad Gable, by the way, fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know this man. This man's an Olympian, and we have not seen Olympian Chad Gable in like a full minute.
Yeah.
Dominic fails to execute a 619. Finally, he takes Chad out, and I said, that's fine. Dominic thinks he won, and then you see The Miz get up in the background. Because The Miz did not go over the top rope, he throws Dominic out, and The Miz wins. Now, here's the thing. I would like us to count on at least one hand since the pandemic. No. Since WrestleMania. Let's start there. How many times have we had a battle royale that ended in a way where a person we thought was eliminated did not just come back randomly and say, oh no, I'm not?
There was that one for contention for the Intercontinental Championship where Grand Metalik won. That did not end with a turnaround.
Lame here. I think there's been like one or two. I'm not including NXT because that does not count.
They know how to do matches.
That's like real wrestling. I can make fun of it, SmackDown and the main roster as much as I want, but like, you still watch it every fucking night.
Yeah. I just want to respond to something Goke said. Dominic, I do agree. He should develop his own wrestling style and not just use his dad's stuff. But he is kind of just starting out, and him starting out with his dad's stuff and then building off of that is what I would assume he'd do. And I think that's probably the best course of action for him as far as like getting control and comfortable in the professional wrestling scene, and then taking it from there.
Also, I think that Dominic's had kind of a tough go of it because Dominic came out in like the storyline that was not necessarily revolving around him in the first place.
Yeah.
It was revolving around his father. So like, he needs to find a storyline that is not about Ray.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we're gonna get Dominic until we get rid of Ray from that aspect. And I don't think we're gonna get rid of Ray from the aspect of Dominic's life until Ray says, "I'm done."
And then we suddenly get Ray's final farewell.
No, because when we thought he was retiring and Seth did the whole farewell Ray speech, I almost cried. Like, that actually hurt me on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Undertaker's one of those people where it's like, yeah, it hurts to see him go. You're like, okay, he's had his time. He's done enough. Ray's done enough, but at the same time, I was like, this is almost too fresh.
He looks like he's still capable of doing a lot more.
Also, like, Ray's still wrestling quite actively.
Yeah.
This was fine. We were months removed from the last time we ever saw Undertaker.
To be fair, Ray did say he doesn't see himself going past 50 and still wrestling, because he's 45 right now. He said he's still got a lot of fuel in the tank. He still feels better than ever, but he can't see himself going past 50 in wrestling.
I mean, I don't blame him. It's like, even on a smaller scale, Daniel Bryan said that this is his last time doing this. Like, he's not coming back after he leaves next time. Daniel Bryan is not almost 50, and he's not almost 45, so.
Yeah.
Not how old he is. But anyways, we had that as our kickoff. It wasn't bad. I do like a good battle royale.
Yeah.
Regardless of the ending.
We got to see some really good Chad Gable stuff.
Dude, if Chad Gable keeps wrestling like this, Angle better come back.
And heel Chad Gable too. I want to see.
Exactly.
I want to see Chad Gable versus Timothy Thatcher.
Is this the right time to say that Chad Gable would do so well if he went back to NXT?
Oh, absolutely.
Which you could say about a lot of wrestlers, honestly. But
yeah. I wouldn't say all of them, but yeah.
No, I said a lot of wrestlers. Like, The Miz would not fare well down there. I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, Daniel Bryan is almost 40.
Okay.
I'll turn 40 on May 22nd. I turned 25 on the same day. We're birthday twins. To be fair, another person who was on the Battle Royale.
Daniel Bryan? Yeah.
Haircut wouldn't allow him to.
Oh, yeah. Andrade, either.
Is Andrade still in the WWE though?
Let's hope he's in NXT.
With Zelina gone, I don't know what's gonna happen there. Also Alistair.
Alistair, yeah. I'm trying to think who else wasn't in it. Lindsay, Grand Metal. Kalisto was in it.
Yeah, that's why they kind of thought that they would be.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's it. I can't think of any others right now. Oh, Mustafa.
Well, that's technically Retribution.
Yeah. Yeah, alright.
Mansoor.
Yeah, Goke, they could definitely build Chad Gable as the next Kurt Angle. And
Easily.
yeah,
He basically is.
he definitely is. I mean, you could tell me that Kurt Angle was his mentor, and I'd 100%. You could tell me he's his father, and I'd believe you. Like Kurt, they have such similar styles and gear that it's like, and backgrounds too.
Honestly, I think if you told me that Kurt Angle was the trainer for Chad Gable, I'd just be like, yeah, that isn't. I would assume that was the case at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Chad Gable's setting himself up to be like Nega Kurt right now.
Yeah.
Gable Kurt.
I think Kurt was a heel at one point too. It wouldn't shock me. You looking it up?
I think everybody goes through a heel phase though, so I guess that's like kind of an easy assumption to make.
Yeah. I think he was kind of like the John Cena-ish character, how very American man.
He apparently turned heel and back to face like 10 different times within 7 years.
Oh wow.
You want to start talking about the actual pay-per-view?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Okay. So we started with what I don't think we should have started with, but maybe it made sense, I guess. With the match that I didn't hate, but I feel like I kind of hated.
I really like this match.
I think the only reason I didn't like this match was because it confused me a little bit, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We started with the men's 5-on-5, Raw versus SmackDown. We both predicted the Raw team to win.
Yes, we did.
That was the only thing that made sense.
Because it was the only of the two that had any kind of story development and, effort put into it.
Also, like, now that I'm thinking about it, I think this was a way for them to kind of say, like, hey, everyone watches the pay-per-view. Not everyone watches Raw. Not everyone watches SmackDown. More people are watching SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe make Team Raw go over. And then people are like, holy shit, Raw.
Maybe.
It's like kind of like a promo for Raw at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I still see so many people, especially today because of the nature of the day. I still see so many people that are like, SmackDown's so much better than Raw. And I'm like, listen, Raw has its faults.
Raw has a lot. I see a lot of people shitting on Raw more than SmackDown.
Yeah.
SmackDown is, I think, miles ahead of Raw right now just because they have so much effort put into the stories. You look at Roman's storyline alone, that's miles ahead of whatever Raw is cooking up. You had the Sasha Bailey storyline, which was fantastic, but God, I mean, you do have the Fiend on Raw, but I think that's really the only thing going for Raw right now. And Drew McIntyre.
Spoken. I see a lot of people saying SmackDown is better. I don't know if that's what I said earlier.
Wait, you cut out for a second.
All I know is that when I watch Raw, I'm like, oh, and you're lagging. I said that a lot of people think that SmackDown is better than Raw, and I honestly hate to say this. I genuinely view watching SmackDown as a chore. It's something we have to do for the podcast right now because I hate sitting through SmackDown.
You mean SmackDown or Raw?
As much as SmackDown, that's why I'm saying SmackDown.
Okay.
At least with Raw, if it were not 3 hours, it'd be even easier to do. Raw is its own problem for me because it is 3 hours. It's on a Monday. We usually go into our podcast until 2 a.m. on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
At least on Raw, I'm entertained. SmackDown, I gauge my interest levels in shows and the brands between how many notes I've written for how many pages of notes. Right now, So everyone knows my font is Proxima Nova at 9 point. Until I do the podcast, and it's 18 point because I don't have my glasses on. Right now for Raw and NXT, I'm somewhere in the 110s area, about 110 pages of notes. SmackDown still is not even broken 100 pages of notes. I think I'm at 91, 95-ish. I genuinely cannot stand watching SmackDown.
I think where SmackDown's going right now, it has a lot more potential. Raw seems like it's kind of hit a wall. SmackDown, it has the Chad Gable storyline. It has Big E coming up as a title holder. It has Roman. It has Carmella coming back. It's got a lot going for it right now, but I think we can all agree that NXT is the best.
Right. And then there are people who are saying AEW is better than NXT, and I can't judge that because I can't watch AEW. So.
And also, it's hard to compare the two because it's two completely different generations of wrestling.
Styles, ultimately.
Yeah.
I just think, like, SmackDown does have stuff that it could build up towards. Like, yeah, the Roman and Jay story is there, and it's good, but, like, I'm kind of getting tired of that, too, because nothing else has happened yet. It's just Roman screaming at Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, Hell in a Cell was amazing. That's that's undisputed. I'm kind of getting, like, that's slowing down a little bit. They dropped Bayley and Sasha altogether, which may have been the right choice, but Carmella is nothing that I'm interested in.
Yes.
Nothing about Carmella that makes me remotely interested in what's happening.
Yeah, I know. And the worst part about it is that the only times we've seen Carmella outside of those vignettes is her attacking Sasha from behind and just primping. Yeah. I very much disagree, Goke, about NXT being too flippy. They have so much variety on NXT that you have so much technical wrestling. It's a lot more varied than Raw or SmackDown. Because
what does flippy mean?
Like flippy wrestling. Like very showy.
Oh, really? I always thought that NXT looked a little more tougher.
Yeah. You have some people who do a lot of that, like
Leon Ruff is not. I guess Leon Ruff is not helping anybody's point against that. Because that's 100% what that is.
Leon Ruff, but it's hard for me to actually think of anyone who does do whose gimmicks are flipping a lot more so than like people on Raw or SmackDown, because you literally have luchadors on Raw and SmackDown. You don't have any luchadors on NXT.
In theory, you have Legado. He
doesn't even do that much luchador wrestling, though.
I also have not paid attention to a single Legado match since Maverick was involved. So
Jake Atlas is very flippy, but
true.
I mean, you think about like Dexter Lumis, Finn Balor, any of the Undisputed Era guys, Timothy Thatcher, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano. They're very they're mostly technical, but they do have a lot of acrobatics thrown into them. But I wouldn't think of them as flippy.
I think the best way to put it is sort of how when Finn moved down to NXT again, he said, you know, with the main roster, there's kind of like a curtain to hide behind. You can hide behind like the showmanship and like the Hollywood aspects of it and like all the fancy shit. NXT really can't do that because NXT is supposed to be much more like in your face, like, hello, we're wrestling today. I just feel like because NXT, and maybe this is just like the millennial aspect of my brain, NXT doesn't make me like sit there and beg for like a crumb of the story.
Right.
Which they did with Bayley and Sasha for a long time. NXT at least is like, all right, here's the thing that happened. And then like I wait like a week, I wait 2 weeks maybe. Then they're like, and here's the other part of it. And like there's payoff at least.
Think about the Pat McAfee storyline. Like we had 1 week where Ridge at TakeOver, Ridge attacked Adam Cole. The following episode, less than a week later, you had Ridge fighting Oni and Danny, and then somebody else from Undisputed Era getting attacked. The week after, you get a little bit more of that, and then the week after, you get a reveal of Pat McAfee. Like it gets a lot of progress, and they move so much quicker than Raw and SmackDown, where they on Raw and SmackDown it seems like they're thinking of everything as they go and not planning ahead.
Which, to be fair, is kind of how things have been going, because I've read, like, every other week I get, like, one headline that's like, if you're not a regular viewer, I do a news segment. Every other week I get a headline that's like, Vince McMahon tore the script up an hour before they started taping at SmackDown. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. That makes sense for last Friday. Like, oh yeah, that's why everybody seemed like they didn't know what the fuck they were.
Mm-hmm. But we should start talking about the actual match itself, because
Or are we not talking about NXT right now?
No, I wish they were part of the Survivor Series.
Is this not War Games?
Oh, I can't wait for War Games.
I'm so excited for War Games. It's gonna be fun. Plus we might get Dexter Lumis in his first ever takeover.
Has he not been in takeover?
We've talked about this before. No, Dexter Lumis has never been in a takeover.
Oh.
Okay. Surprising but true. So yes. To what we were talking about. Men's 5-on-5. SmackDown versus Raw. We both chose Raw. If you don't know, Team Raw was Braun, Sheamus, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, AJ Styles. SmackDown was, I guess, Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, Corbin, someone else, right?
Want me to say them again?
Otis.
Otis, yeah.
All right. So we start with AJ versus Jey. Seth Rollins, by the way, comes out, stares at the post of the wrestling ring for at least a solid 5 minutes, and then slowly makes his way into the ring to stare just blankly into this ether of the Thunderdome.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
So, there's a drop kick to Jey, and then a red hook to AJ. There's a failed enziguri and a failed Pele kick. Nasty fucking Samoan drop to AJ to break AJ's tiny little back. Corbin gets in. There's a clothesline to AJ and a right hook as AJ goes to jump over the rope. Otis gets in. Riddle is in. There's a massive shoulder tackle to Matt Riddle. I call him Matt in my notes, and I don't mean to. Then Matt Riddle does what he does best, which is kicking people. But as he kicks Otis, it just kind of powers him up. Otis does his little caterpillar, and then, oh no, he does not. Otis slams Matt Riddle to the mat, then kind of like headbutts him. It's almost like a basement headbutt, if you will. I don't know any other way to put that. Kevin gets in, just starts trying to break Matt Riddle's ankle.
Headbutts his foot.
Yeah, he headbutts his foot, which I was like, maybe not in a pandemic, but okay.
Even that, it's such a, like, why headbutt his foot?
What are you doing there? That's not going to do anything, sir. So Sheamus gets in. Sheamus gets into the ring. Seth Rollins says, I don't know why, but I feel compelled by this red-haired man to also be in the ring at the same time. Mm-hmm. I think Seth Rollins has a type. Murphy, Becky, Sheamus. Anywho.
Drew.
Yeah. So, yeah. Seth is like, let me into this goddamn ring, so help me, Lord. He gets in. Seth stares at his corner of men. We're all just kind of staring back at him like, hey, can you maybe, I don't know, wrestle? Just do a little wrestling for us real quick. Then Seth turns on a dime, faces Sheamus, drops to his fucking knees, says, do what must be done. And I said, I'm sorry. What?
I just want you...
on.
I just want you to know that after this, Sheamus does fuck all for the rest of the match.
Yeah, rightfully so. I think after Sheamus's impeccable understanding of the concept of teamwork, I think that maybe it was best for him to stay out of the ring.
He tried so hard to not tag in on anyone.
Nothing to do with this shit. Yeah, so Seth's just like, hey, take me out, boys. And Sheamus says, all right, I guess. Why not? So Sheamus Bro kicks the piss out of Seth. Seth is pinned, and that's the first loss for SmackDown. Team Smackdown jumps down to kind of start regrouping what the fuck they're doing. Team Raw looks like they're kind of doing the same thing until the Braun Strowman Express comes through town, knocking everybody in SmackDown out of the fucking way.
I want... Sorry, I should probably bring this up after the match, but I just want to point out, today's matches, there's a pattern. I pointed this out while we were watching, and I'm just realizing it continued throughout the match, or throughout the entire episode. It alternated between SmackDown and Raw winning in every single match. In this match, you had Raw winning. Tag team, you had Street Profits winning, that's SmackDown. Next match, you had Bobby winning, that's Raw. Then you had Women's Raw winning. Oh no, then you had Sasha winning, that's SmackDown. And then you had Women's Raw winning. And then you had Roman winning, who's SmackDown. So perfectly alternated. Anyway.
Are we keeping doing the podcast, or you just gave up all the results?
I assume if you watch this, you either don't care about the results, or you either don't care about the results if you didn't watch it, or you already saw it.
Anyways, so Braun takes everybody out and then drags, I believe it was Corbin in, drags Corbin back into the ring and screams at his team asking if they can just all get on the same page real fucking quick so that they can maybe, I don't know, win the goddamn match. Tags Matt Riddle in. Corbin socks the absolute piss out of him. Keith gets in. Otis gets in. There's a side headlock on Otis and then a shoulder tackle to Otis, but Otis just no-sells the shit out of it. Keith lifts Otis, and Otis then tries to do the same exact thing to Keith, but he just can't quite get it. Braun gets in. And Braun's immediately like, I got some shit to say to you. Let's start. Rips his shirt off, and I said, Braun, we don't need to do that. But you know what? Braun, thank you for wearing your fucking shirt, because no one else did. At least for the women's 5-on-5. I think Bayley wore her shirt, and that was possibly it.
Mm-hmm.
The good old-fashioned wearing the shirt in some form for the 5-on-5 is apparently out the window. But anyways, that's my own qualm. But Braun gets in, just starts punching and clubbing the shit out of Otis, and then drop kicks him, which I did not know Braun Strowman was capable of. I did not realize that he was capable of drop kicking a single person. But AJ gets in. Kevin Owens also jumps in. There's a kick to Kevin's face and then a massive back body drop to AJ where Kevin just kind of does it and does not look back. It was very cool, guys don't look at explosions kind of type. I like that. There's a boot to Owens' face and a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker to AJ. In, stunner to Keith, then a stunner to Sheamus who jumps in, and then a stunner to Riddle, and then a phenomenal forearm to Kevin Owens and AJ. It was just like a really goofy way to be like, and Kevin Owens can also do a stunner, in case you're wondering. It's like, in case you didn't know, Kevin Owens knows how to do this. And then he gets taken out. I was like, point. What's the point of that? Corbin gets in. A nice good old end of days to AJ. The Raw team helps out to break cover. 6 Sheamus. Old end of days back to AJ. AJ Pele kicks Corbin, and then tags Riddle in. Riddle brotons onto Corbin to win This is what happens when I've had a little too much to drink. I actually call his moves the way they should be called. I don't want to do that ever again. This will make me a sober person. I'm going straight edge after this.
Okay.
So then Jay is in, Sheamus is in. There's a bro kick to Jay, and then Sheamus gets him against the ropes, rips his little shirt off because that's just what Sheamus does, and does the 10, quote unquote, to the Bowen against his chest. I'm pretty sure it was like 6, and then he stopped. There's a step up on Seguri to Sheamus. Otis gets in, the belly to belly suplex to AJ, and then a massive clothesline to Riddle. Then Otis suplexes Keith and Sheamus. So Braun gets back in because he has not tied down the wily Otis. Once again, just is like, I'm here. I'm the only one who can feasibly take you on for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why Keith Lee can't, but I guess I have to. There's a massive boot to Otis. Otis dodges Braun and slams him into the ground. There's a caterpillar to Braun. Braun gets up, does a running power slam to Otis, pin him, and now Jay is just on his own against all 5 members of Team Raw. Jay just kind of tries to super kick anything that moves, and at this point I kind of thought like, oh my god, Jay's gonna win somehow by super kicking and Uso splashing everyone, and I'm gonna be bored as tits. However, Jay super kicks everybody. There's a pump knee strike to Jay. Riddle gets super kicked. It's Braun versus Jay, and then AJ versus Jay. Jay's just super kicking everybody. Keith catches Jay mid-air, spirit bombs him for the win. Thank God. If I had to see another super kick from Jay, I probably would have. I would have shut my laptop. I would have just gone to bed.
Did we mention that Keith has a new walkout song?
We did not mention that.
And
God.
Something I just saw. It first of all, it's amazing. It's perfect. Well worth the wait. Apparently, it's a remix of his indie walkout.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I really like that.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. He looked so happy when he heard it.
He genuinely looked like happier. Like he knew. He knew. He was like, this is the best shit in the fucking world. Thank you. And I really liked it. It was a really good sounding song. It made me miss his other song way, way less.
Yeah.
But alas. I mean, I don't know how you felt about it. I wasn't expecting the men's 5-on-5 to go the way it did.
I was expecting Raw to win, but I wasn't expecting them to completely shut out SmackDown. I absolutely did not expect Seth Rollins to just sacrifice himself.
Yeah, I don't really know what that was.
But I expected Seth to be kind of the only working one of the team, the only one who makes it difficult for Raw. I was expecting Jay to kind of fuck things up for everyone, but no, he is the last remaining member. Yeah.
Normie, one of my star glitters fell off.
Oh no. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was a really well done match that incorporated the relationships of everyone on Team Raw still, without it just being a match where they just happen to be working together as a team. You still have Braun pissed off at them, yelling at them to get their shit together. And they still kind of work through their disagreements along the way in the match, and there's kind of some progress from beginning to end.
I didn't think that Braun would be the one to kind of be like, hey, can we, tighten this shit up a little bit? I didn't expect him to be that one.
I didn't expect that either, but I think it works because he's such a short-tempered person that if he's in a match and like focused and there's a distraction like that, he gets pissed.
I think that we finally got like some good Braun character here. That like he was pissed, but he was like focused on a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Which doesn't normally seem like we have from Braun.
Right. Yeah. Also, do you think that Seth sacrificed himself so that he just didn't have to fight Matt Riddle? Used all of his clout to just go to Vince and say, hey, can I just not do this?
I genuinely did not even think of it that way. I think it, in a weird way, it sucks because like the whole thing that they've been going off of here was Seth's going to take time off for Becky to have the kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of was like, well, I hope Seth kind of goes out on a high note, or a note, I guess. I thought maybe we'd see a fighting Seth as opposed to a sacrificial Seth. But it was something we talked about when Matt Riddle made the team where I was like, oh, he's going to fight Matt Riddle? Or rather, Seth is going to fight Matt Riddle, and after all the news that we heard about how they fucking actually hate each other in real life.
Unless this kind of signifies the death of his character, and when he comes back, he's gonna be the Beast Slayer again.
He's not going back to that. I can
I
almost
want him
guarantee
to.
he's not going back. I understand. I do too. He's not going to. I think, especially because Buddy is the Messiah Slayer now.
I don't think he was actually, like, I don't think that's a long-term gimmick. I think that was just for that one match.
But I think the thing is like, I don't see that happening. I think that Seth's going to come back as a much worse version of Seth.
Okay. You don't think he can do that while also being the Beast Slayer?
Maybe? I don't know.
I just want that walkout. That's all I want.
I understand. You're never getting it back. Except the loss now.
But we got to move on to the New Day versus the Street Profits. In my opinion, one of the best matches today.
Oh, absolutely. We did a whole lot of justice to tag team fighting that we don't normally see.
The two greatest tag teams in all of WWE.
I think, and also to just take like two relatively goofy tag teams and just turn them into whatever the fuck we saw. Wild.
Mm-hmm.
However, New Day versus Street Profits, we both chose the New Day, and that was our own fucking mistake.
Yeah.
We start with Dox versus Xavier. Xavier immediately kind of tags in Kofi, while Tez crawls along the apron, doing whatever the absolute fuck Tez does on a non-fighting basis. Tez gets in. There's a side headlock on Kofi from Montez, and then a shoulder tackle to Kofi. Kofi catches Montez in the air, and Tez sends Kofi out of the ring. Kofi did not catch Montez in the air. I'm remembering things as I speak. Kofi caught his feet, but Tez kicked him backwards out of the ring. Kofi then dives back in through the fucking ropes, just gracefully. A little Ocean's 12 character. And gets himself right into position for a step up enziguri on his own little face. Dawkins gets in. Dawkins and Montez team up to face Buster Kofi. And there's a failed moonsault onto Kofi. The New Day gently help both Street Profit folks out of the ring. Kofi jumps out onto Montez, and then Xavier takes Dawkins out with a fist. Xavier gets in and starts punching Montez in the corner. Kofi gets back in. Xavier gets back in off of Kofi. It's a whole thing. Kofi sends Montez right in. Sorry. Got on too much of a roll. Kofi throws Montez into Xavier's boot, right directly into the ribs. And then he gets a knee from Xavier into the midsection. There's a gutbuster to Montez from Xavier and then a headlock on Montez. Kofi sits on the apron to make fun of him with their little red solo cups. Kofi gets in, starts jumping on Montez's back against the ropes. There's a waist lock on Montez and then a kick to the ribs. Montez pulls Kofi down into a DDT. Dawkins gets in, Xavier gets in. Dawkins begins doing what Dawkins does best, which is clotheslining Xavier and then pulling off a flying elbow onto Xavier. There's a suplex to Xavier. Kofi's in. There's a suplex to Kofi. And then, like, Dawkins does something that, like, even the announcers can't quite put a name to. Just, like, this, like, underhook neck breaker type shit that Dawkins...
It starts as, like, a Future Shock DDT, and then he, like, flips himself in the air, turning it into, like, kind of a neck breaker.
Is bananagrams.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing move. And again, not something that we've seen from him before. Montez gets in. Montez grabs Xavier after I don't know what this note is. I'm sorry. Montez grabs Xavier after after Xavier jumps up onto Dawkins, and then there's a back to belly suplex to Xavier. Not really sure what that was. Dawkins gets back in. It's a running sliced bread off on Xavier. Gets Tez back in. Xavier then sends Dawkins down onto the turnbuckle, gets Kofi in. We get a midnight hour onto the illegal man, which is Montez, and then 3 bone drops onto Montez. Kofi then shoves Dawkins away. Montez drop kicks Kofi. Dawkins gets in. Montez gets back in. There's the anointment from Dawkins, and then a Montez frog splash, but sweet boy's ribs are hurting a little bit.
That was great.
And we don't normally see that because the frog splash is usually the ending note.
Yeah.
But Kofi then tries to roll Montez up. Dawkins breaks the cover. Xavier missile drop kicks Dawkins. And Kofi tags in Xavier. Montez pulls off a Trouble in Paradise onto Kofi. All fucking people. And then, like, Xavier, it's the most absurd fucking gutbuster Montez. I didn't understand it. Like, he basically, like, threw him in the air and then caught him with his fucking shins. Montez went up to the top rope. Dawkins tagged in off of him. Xavier got onto Dawkins' shoulders. Montez pulls off a blockbuster from the top rope onto Mr. Xavier for the Street Profits to win.
Really, really amazing showing from the Street Profits. Like, they pulled out so much new shit in that match that it was amazing.
It was, and I mean, again, this is one of those things where, like, you know that they've been working together for a while, and, like, see that in action is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that we always get, like, you know, with, like, Seth and Buddy, with Ricochet and Cedric, shit like that. It's like, I get it. As you guys know each other.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it. I really love this match. Very stressful match, though.
Absolutely. But moving on from that, after that we have Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley.
Okay, this was supposed to be written as a squash, and it essentially was, but it was at least a prolonged squash.
It was. Sami had a leg up at certain points, but it was mostly in Bobby's favor. It was just Sami running from the inevitable.
We both chose Bobby because we were informed early on as to what was probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Which I get it. I wish it hadn't gone this way, but I don't know if Bobby Lashley can actually be defeated.
Except by Drew.
That's a different breed of person, so. Also, can we quickly discuss they used for their for the WWE's Twitter matchup image sort of they used the image of Bobby Lashley back when he was wearing those like color contacts.
Did they?
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I didn't like it either because I don't like that version of Bobby Lashley. That was a very weird version of Bobby.
Mm.
And I'm glad that they abandoned it. However, we start off with Sami Zayn just running scared for 90% of the match. Sami then jumps out of the ring. Bobby follows him and begins clubbing him. Bobby follows him and clubs him from behind. Sami manages to get a leg up on Bobby, stomping him in the corner. And then Sami tries to clothesline him, but Bobby just runs right fucking through it. And then shoulder tackles Zayn down. Bobby begins shoving Zayn into the ropes. He whips Sami into the corner and then tosses him. Sami attacks Bobby from behind and then begins bouncing on Bobby's back on the ropes with his knees while staring down at MVP and kind of just making fun of him. He gets up to the second rope, jumps down, elbowing Lashley in the spine. And then there's a back body drop to Zayn and a neck breaker to Sami Zayn. And then a boot to Lashley's face before a vertical suplex to Sami Zayn. Zayn then tries to roll Lashley up, gets thrown down into a face buster, gets shoved into the barricade, and then just gets launched all over the place. Zayn manages to shove Bobby Lashley into the post. Once they're back in the ring, there's an attempted haluva kick right into a massive spine buster.
Hell of a kick.
Thank you. Right into a massive spine buster on Sami Zayn. Bobby applies the hurt lock, and Sami Zayn taps the absolute fuck out.
Yeah. Wish it had ended in a different way because I don't like Bobby's finisher being the hurt lock. But I mean, this match was what everyone really expected. There's no way to really describe this match other than just predictable.
I would have preferred it to not be that way, but I guess it's kind of the case for.
Yeah, I mean, it's a match that won't lead to long-term storylines. So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. And that's the weird part of Survivor Series, where it's like, I don't know how you're gonna rate a. I guess this is the thing that always kind of fucked me up about Survivor Series. It's like, I don't know how you're going to write a match where I'm super invested if A, a title isn't on the line, and B, a lot of this doesn't contribute to any storylines whatsoever.
Right.
Except for sort of, kind of, Roman and Jay. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing that it really contributed to, and maybe come Monday we'll find out that it contributes to a Drew McIntyre storyline. Outside of that, I don't know.
It might lead to Sami Zayn getting more mad at Daniel Bryan.
Sure.
Definitely a new Roman storyline. 100%. Kind of Jay falling more in line with Roman, him trusting Jay more. No new Street Profit stuff. Maybe new Sasha stuff. I don't know. But we should move on to Asuka versus Sasha Banks.
Want to talk about the promo real quick?
What promo was there? Sorry, I didn't write down the promos.
We're outside of the Roman Reigns locker room with Jimmy and Jay.
Right. And then, Jay, or Jimmy's just like, man, this is bullshit. Or Roman's giving Jay a hard time because of the match, the elimination match, losing, all that stuff. And then Jimmy's just like, shut the fuck up. It wasn't his fault. Like, it was a 5 versus 1. What else are you gonna do? And tries to get Jimmy to come with him, but Roman then tells him to stay. Jay. Does Jay go with Jimmy? No, he stays with Roman.
Ultimately, what happens is Roman's he tells Jimmy to fuck off, basically. And then Jay tries to, well, no one was listening to me. And Roman's like, well, they didn't respect you. And because they didn't respect you, therefore they don't respect me. And because they don't respect me, they don't respect the family. And I was like, I don't think it goes that deep, Roman. I don't think it's that deep at all. I think you just had Corbin, Seth, Otis, and Jay and Kevin Owens, a bunch of people who don't get along in the first place, on a team together. And since that's already a hindrance, I don't think it has anything to do with the family. And then Roman basically tells Jay to fuck off because he doesn't want to be around losers tonight.
Yeah, he told him to just leave. But after that, we have Asuka versus Sasha.
We do. We both successfully chose Sasha. So.
Right, because we're not stupid.
Um,
we are stupid in thinking that Charlotte would have appeared during this match, but she did not.
What do I have to do? What do I have to do?
We saw her.
I need Charlotte to tell me what I have to do. And if it is wait till Friday to see her go on to the one brand that I don't like watching, I'm gonna have problems.
She was drafted to Raw, so maybe you'll only have to wait till tomorrow.
Then why was the promo commercial with her little face on it in all blue?
I don't know. Because
give me answers.
Blue's her color. Her walkout's blue. Most of her gear is blue.
What do you have to say, Pete?
Meow.
Useless. Alright. I expected so much from this match. I got so little from it.
Why'd you expect so much? What did you expect to happen?
I expected Bayley and Sasha-esque fighting.
We've seen this matchup like 50 times already, and it's never been anything to write home about.
To call home about.
That's what I was about to say.
Please keep my feet warm. They're so cold. Please. I could just wear socks. No, princess. Yeah, this match made me so sad because I had so much hope for it to be and it wasn't. Pretty much Asuka's face on the promo on Friday was how I kind of felt the entire time. I was like, that's something. Right, so we start with a head scissors to Sasha, but like a normal one, not a flying one, just on the ground. We're laying there. Sasha goes for the armbar, but Asuka holds on to her own arms to kind of keep it from locking in. There's an attempt at an arm scissors, but it goes right into the bank statement. Asuka goes for the Asuka lock, but Sasha hyperextends her little fingers and then her elbow. She pulls off a backstabber onto Asuka, and then a hip attack goes to Sasha. I just got high-fived by the cat, feeling good. Asuka takes Sasha's legs out right into an ankle lock. There's 2 kicks to Sasha's ribs. And then Asuka goes off, hyperextending Sasha's shoulders. Sasha decides against the bank statement, but goes right into overextend Asuka's shoulder again, right into an abdominal stretch. Asuka frees herself, sort of puts the Sasha kind of goes for the octopus stretch on Asuka. It's not quite there. Asuka breaks free by shoving Sasha into the buckle. There's a kick to the face of Asuka, and then sort of a head scissors to Asuka. It wasn't impressive of a move. It was supposed to be kind of a flying head scissors, but it didn't really work out. There's an ankle lock on the apron to Banks. A hip attack sends Banks to the floor. Then there's a basement drop kick and me moving the tripod onto the bed. The cat cannot knock it over and break it more. I just dropped that on my work laptop, by the way. Sasha goes for the suplex on the ringside area, but Asuka lifts her to the corner of the barricade for some reason. Then Sasha goes for the Meteora, but goes right into Asuka's own double knees. Asuka goes for the hip attack, but you know what happens when Asuka goes for the hip attack every once in a while? You know what happens? You know what happens, Mark?
She
She
traps
gets strung up in
herself.
the ropes. Yeah, she gets trapped. Because Asuka went for the hip attack about 3 feet away from where Sasha was standing. Then
Can I just say? Sorry, I should have said this like a second earlier. That hip attack is one of the main reasons why I don't love Asuka as a champion. You know, I don't want to go into like insulting Asuka because I think she's a very talented wrestler. But I just don't think she's very convincing as the Raw Women's Champion. You know?
I think she was for a minute.
She was,
really
when she was defending against Charlotte and Nia Jax, but since that one moment she was defending against Nia Jax, she has completely fallen off, especially...
No, it was the kiss of death?
It was the kiss of death, yes.
I'm saying, it was the kiss of death.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Mickie James.
Mickie James was the kiss of death.
Like, that's the one place I can, like, track it back to where I'm like, this is when I stopped fucking caring altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And now Mickie James is somewhere catering, I guess.
It was either that or Lana returning to wrestling.
Yeah, that happened at the same fucking time. So let's call it even there.
No insult to either Mickie James or Lana. It's just the writers reacting to said events and not knowing what to do.
I mean, no offense to Mickie James at all, because Mickie James, quite literally, 2 of her matches were interrupted by other men's matches that were happening.
Yeah.
Seth walked in on their match, and that was all we saw. We saw them whistling in the background.
Despite her being one of the most talented women's wrestlers with the largest legacy currently.
Or at least the largest legacy that we still talk about. I mean, Natty's been around for a while. Tamina's been around for a while, but Tamina's a jobber at this point.
She really is, and it's a huge shame. But
anyways, let me continue with this match because I haven't finished yet.
Yeah.
Somehow. Right. So it's a backstabber to Asuka, then a meteor in the corner to Asuka. I always hate like the meteoras like in the corner where it's just like a running meteora. It's so much lamer than like the meteora off the ropes. It's like, oh, definitely I get it. Sasha goes for the frog splash, but no luck. She pulls Asuka into the bank statement. Again, doesn't work. Asuka attempts the Asuka lock, doesn't work. A kick to Sasha in the face through the ropes, and then a double knees pulling Sasha down through the ropes into like almost a Draper DDT. I know we've seen it before, but it was very Draper-esque this time. There was an attempt at another ankle lock, but Sasha pulls her down into a sunset flip. And then we have 41 different fucking kickouts and pin attempts. There's a backslide to Sasha. Doesn't get the pin. There's a kick to Sasha, which is caught. And then Asuka manages to kick Sasha upside the head. We still get the sunset flip from Sasha to Asuka, getting Sasha the pin. Just want to point out, this entire match, I did not remember who I predicted, even though I have it at the top of all of my notes. I was like, oh man, Asuka's got to win. Asuka's got to win. Stop counting, Eddie. Mark kept turning around. He's like, we want Sasha to win. And I was like, fuck.
Can I just say one great thing about this match? It was finally a clean victory for Sasha against Asuka with no interference at all.
So we get something out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe I expected more because we have been seeing so much Sasha Bailey where I was like, this is the most fucking amazing shit I've ever seen from women's wrestling. And again, maybe I was spoiled by NXT on Wednesday. But I kind of expected, like, Bailey's gone. It's just you and Asuka. Go at it. And I still got the same Asuka-Sasha fight that I've been seeing. And I wanted something so much better than this, and it disappointed the piss out of me.
Yeah.
I was
But
really saddened by this.
I think as much as we dislike Carmella and how she's been returned, I think it'll be something fresh for us.
Carmella better have some good fucking moves. Let's just state that now and leave it.
But unless there's any promos before this, we have the women's 5-on-5 elimination match.
I've got bad news for you.
There was a promo?
There was a promo.
What was the promo?
24/7 championship. The gobbledygooker. That sounds like an absolute... I feel like I'm committing a hate crime by saying that.
Gobbledygooker. For Thanksgiving. It's for Thanksgiving.
I'm just gonna... Yeah, a hate crime. I just want
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Man. Oh, man. Oh, boy.
Let's discuss American history.
No, thank you.
But to be totally fair here, I'm pretty sure, and I don't want to say it, so I'm not going to, and I'm going to ask you not to say it too when I go off and say what I'm about to say. Almost positive that the second half of the name of Mr. Turkey Man.
Gobbledygooker.
Okay, I'm going to ask you again, not to say what I'm about to say. I think the second half of that might contain something that was an outdated sort of maybe not a good thing to say about a person.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but growing up in upstate New York, you hear a lot of vintage rude things to say about people.
I'm actually gonna look this up because I'd rather have it damage my search history than yours.
Too late, did it already.
Okay.
It is a derogatory term. Anyways.
Towards Filipinos, Koreans, and Vietnamese people.
Right, which is why I said that sounds like it's probably not a good thing to say. Anyways, Mr. Turkey Man, aka Drew Gulak.
He's definitely Drew Gulak.
You're not fooling me. I'm not fooled.
But we should say, because we didn't bring this up before, Gobbledygooker did show up during the pre-show and pin R-Truth after being confronted by Akira Tozawa, thus making Gobbledygooker a first-time 24/7 champion. But anyway, do you want to continue with this promo, or do you want me to?
If you have enough beef to go through it, yeah. Or if you need me to, I'll jump in.
So Gobbledygooker shows up and sees there's a trail of seeds, bird seed.
Seed, if you will.
Yeah, just a trail of it leading to a pile because I guess we're pretending that that's a real bird.
I don't think turkeys eat bird seed, by the way.
I don't think they do, but okay. So he go. Yeah.
I live in upstate New York where there are turkeys and we also feed birds. Never seen a turkey eating bird seed.
I have a pitch for WWE right now. Like, the only way you can make this moment, like, long term, Gobbledygooker should show up in the Firefly Funhouse.
And then Bray Wyatt kills it. So.
Yeah, but, like, make it so it's, like, one of the puppets, you know?
That'd be cool.
Just a big puppet.
I'd respect the shit out of that. If they turned around and did that shit, I'd actually be like, oh, wow, okay.
WWE, Vince, Paul Heyman, Daniel Bryan, whoever, call me.
Daniel, we have the same birthday, and I'm a Gemini too, so we get along.
Anyway, so the rest of this promo is the bird seeds laid. Gobbledygooker falls for it. Akira Tozawa pins Gobbledygooker, wins, but then R-Truth comes in and pins Akira Tozawa. So thus making R-Truth, again, the 24/7 title holder. Also, I really want the 24/7 title because it's such a nice looking belt. I just want to hold it. It's like one of WWE's best looking titles.
I like that it's a different color from literally anything.
Mm-hmm. I think that and the Intercontinental title are the two best looking. Mainly because they don't have a giant WWE logo on them.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I feel like the 24/7 championship title on like the WWE store should be cheaper than the other ones.
Yeah.
Just give me one of R-Truth's 45.
Do you think he actually has like 45 in his home?
They just keep remaking it. It's to make up for the environmentally conscious Daniel Bryan belt. So they've somehow got to keep that quota of like destroying the earth.
I want that belt to come back. That was such a nice looking belt. The wood on it and like
blonde wood.
But like it had like the wood, it had like the teal.
You know what they should have done? And this is a very, very Elizabeth complaint.
Mm-hmm.
They should have coffee stained the wood and like what I mean by that is or tea stained it. Make it just like a little more of a honey color. The honey color plus the teal would have looked really pretty, but because it was so basic and like just untreated wood, which to be fair, coffee and tea are not environmentally unfriendly.
They're not PETA approved.
PETA can eat my ass.
That was the whole thing with the belt. Daniel Bryan said it was PETA approved.
Oh, he believes in PETA? Oh.
I mean, the character might. I don't know about Daniel Bryan himself, although I think they're one and the same.
Daniel Bryan is Daniel Bryan. You know that.
But also, if we're talking about like the best looking belts, we have to talk about
Christ on a cracker.
The UPF World Championship belt. I know my sister Courtney has it right now. But I'm borrowing it for the weekend. Look at this belt made by undisputedbelts.com. Oh, sorry.
Ironically, Undisputed Belts, by the way. What a name.
Look at this.
Cole made this specifically for us, baby.
Yeah. Isn't it beautiful? This shit is so nice. It's very loud though. Like you can hear like the rattling in it.
Our mic cut out for me at least, for 90% of that. However, fun fact, Elizabeth tried that on. The front plaque is bigger than my hips, so I cannot wear it.
I can't wait to win this one day, but right now it belongs to my sister, so it is in the family. Until Don Pokemon inevitably takes it, because I doubt my sister can defend it.
So who's the head of the table there, by the way?
Pete's.
Oh no. The PCW chairman?
Yep, unfortunately.
The PCW, where Pepita can only win, except Mark took her title, so. So if you're a first-time tuner-inner...
Tuner-inner?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry they probably don't understand what we mean by the PCW.
Look,
but
like I said, I took her title so that she can win it back in a very glorious fashion. Kind of like with Drew McIntyre.
She doesn't see it that way.
I know she doesn't, because she's stupid. Just crashes through the door right now.
Just a Pepita-shaped hole behind your head. Aw, poor Pepita. Also, if you're a first-time tuner-runner, you have never seen our cat. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, you're missing out.
Anyway.
You
should watch older episodes where you can see our cat.
Anyway, so we have the women's 5-on-5 elimination Survivor Series match.
I guess my promo for the cat doesn't count for anything. That's fine.
Also, this match made me really wish we had NXT as a part of Survivor Series this year.
You know, Rhea Ripley just appearing. That would have been...
I would have wanted Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, Candice, Shotzi, Dakota.
Can I just say something here?
Hmm.
The amount of skill that we see on a Wednesday weekly basis between within Io or within just Rhea, within just Raquel, within just Candice, you could not put a Peyton, a Lacey, a fucking Lana together to even remotely match that level of skill, and I will stand by that.
Yeah.
I will stand by that fucking decision.
You can ask most wrestling fans, NXT's women's scene is the greatest women's wrestling scene in all of professional wrestling.
It is so justifying for my own personal women's self. Because I feel consistently disrespected by the main roster on a almost regular basis. And especially with Sonya being gone, which is, to be fair, a totally respectable reason to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Just in a very selfish way. I will Drew McIntyre myself here. In a very selfish way, it sucks ass.
But I think the best thing about NXT's women roster is how diverse it is. There's so
diverse.
Much diversity in it. Not just in like race and appearance and everything, but just in general like style. You have so many different looking wrestlers. When you look at the main roster, you look at like half of them, they all have kind of like the same style, same gimmick, you know.
The way I see it is basically you have your divas wrestlers and you've got your more modern wrestlers, I guess.
Yeah.
For example, like Peyton's a pretty hardcore divas wrestler.
Lacey.
Natty's better about it, but Lacey is. Dana, Mandy.
Billy.
Hardcore, huh?
Billy
Kay. Yeah, I mean, have we seen her wrestle in the last 10 years? No. In a real sense. Even in a sense with Liv, who screeches after every fucking hit she makes. That shit, like, really throws me, and I hate it. Because... And also, I mean, not to go back to a very sore subject, but SmackDown karaoke. That was, like, the straw that broke my own personal camel's back.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, you've got people that are on... okay, so, sorry. I kind of sidetracked myself.
Mm-hmm.
You get those people, and it's a very divas style of wrestling. Natty is sort of in that middle ground where it's, like, very diva style, but also much more submission-based, much more...
ferocious.
Yeah, she's a lot more intense, I guess. And you could maybe even like make a point for her to say like she's kind of adapted to like a newer style.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say adapted, just she's also been trained by legends, being part of the Hart family.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got some more intense people like Bailey, like Sonya was.
Shayna,
even Nia, you could say.
Absolutely.
That are more like in your face. But then on NXT, you get that like, you obviously have your super ferocious folks like Rhea and Raquel. And then you got your middle ground people that are like kind of Candice-wise. I mean, it was probably more on the Rhea side, but like Candice.
Shotzi's more on the Rhea side.
Yeah, you got so many intense motherfuckers down there. You've got your middle ground where it's like, oh, you're cute, you're a little more flouncy, but you're still like doing shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's so few people in NXT right now, and it's very indicative of the times. There's so few people. If I can think of anybody, I don't think I can. Maybe Santana, who was just called up to the main roster. It's like there's so few people that are still in NXT that are Divas era, and it worries me that like people like Santana are getting called up, people like Chelsea Green are getting called up, and that's no disrespect to Chelsea Green because we also have not seen her wrestle in like, you know, I don't know, 4 months, and we probably will see her wrestle again for another at least 3 months.
I feel so bad for her.
There's nothing but pity you can feel for that poor girl. She also, I don't know if I mentioned this last time when we talked about it, she broke her wrist on her NXT debut. So, like, Jesus Christ, somebody step in for her.
She broke, she like must have blown up a mirror factory or something.
I mean, to be fair, I think when you, like, once you get, like, I think she's probably around our age, if not a little bit older. Once you get older, you break one thing, you're in a physical workplace, you're going to break it again, probably.
Yeah. Which is why I'm worried about Xavier Woods.
Which is why I'm worried about a lot of wrestlers.
Chelsea Green is 29.
I thought you said Jesse Green. I was like, is that Austin Gray? But all right, so 29. So she's what, 4 years older than me? 5 years.
5.
Actually, I'm almost approaching my 6 months, my 6 month birthday. Um, but no, it's the people that are getting called up are a lot more on like put it on the spectrum here with like Divas on this side and like Shayna Baszler's on this side. People that are more towards this side of the spectrum are being called up.
Mm-hmm.
People more on the side of like Rhea, Io, Raquel aren't getting called up, and I'm selfishly not opposed to that because I don't want them to be ruined.
To be fair, Rhea was just called up, at least as far as we know.
I'm sorry, I need the Dave Meltzer article on that one.
Well, I mean, it's very like heavily rumored that after her match against Io, she was called up.
Right. There are a lot of rumors that are saying like they've closed out that storyline. That was the one last storyline she had, and everyone else is busy. That seems kind of silly to just let her sit on the sidelines. But I'm also worried that they're going to Chelsea Green her, where Chelsea Green disappeared from NXT for 5 or so months, and who are they? Without Charlotte coming back, and Charlotte's going to come back and have beef with Sasha and Carmella. Well, that's on SmackDown. If she's coming back to Raw the way she was supposed to, which who knows, because Arturo was supposed to be on Raw and he's not.
Mm-hmm.
Which has something to do with the dissolution of Ronda Rousey, whatever. But I don't know who the fuck she would fight right now, and I don't want to see her fight Nia, maybe Shayna,
Bianca.
Yeah.
Bailey.
This match alone proved why I'm still just no fucking beef on Bianca here. The way the writers are doing her is just goddamn downright fucking dirty as shit.
She's an incredibly talented wrestler, but WWE's main roster has a booking problem.
More so, she's an incredibly talented athlete.
Mm-hmm.
On a proven level.
Yeah.
She's one of those bitches that I used to run track. She's one of those bitches that I'd watch run the like fucking 100, the 400, and be like, I'm gonna sit down.
Yeah.
Peace. I'll see y'all later. I mean, she posted a couple clips of like her old track days, and that's like when I was running. That's what I thought I looked like, and then if I were to ever look back at any vision of a tape that I ever could possibly have, it's not realistic. She has skill, she has focus, and she has the WWE writers, and that is the one battle she will never win.
Yeah. But we should get to the actual match, unfortunately.
I told you I wanted to go fast on this, and then I got drunk. Oh. My poor little Gemini sun, Leo Rising, is coming out, and we're just talking shit. Anyways, we both chose Team Smackdown. I had hopes. They look good. It came down to a position where I thought maybe we're right. And then little Miss Lana, role playing as a 10-year-old, stepped in, I guess.
When Shayna was counted out from choking out Ruby, that's the point where I was like, SmackDown is gonna win this.
Mm-hmm. And yet.
I will say this was one of the most creative 5-on-5 elimination matches that we've gotten in a long time.
Yeah. It wasn't horrible. Yes.
I really liked most of it.
That's not living still thing today. So we start with Lacey versus Bailey. Bailey slams Lacey into the corner, tags Natty in. Natty rolls Lacey to the ground into a submission hold. Natty managed to. Let me restart that. Sorry. The only reason I need to restart that is because it was a very weird moment. So when Natty got tagged in, Natty rolled Lacey down. Lacey immediately put her into the submission hold that kind of looked like almost like a head scissors. But Natty just kind of wiggled right out of, and I guess like it makes sense because Natty's supposed to be a submission artist. It just kind of made Lacey look like a schmuck. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust Lacey's intentions at this point after the whole Jackson Riker affair. So, either any whoozy what's not to bring politics into this. There's a drop kick to Lacey. Peyton gets in. Bianca gets in. Natty and Bianca squat Peyton together as like a little team bonding experience. And I said, "Oh my god, my strong babies! Yay! I love this." They squat Bianca before flattening her with a suplex. But at the same time, while I was like, "Yay, my babies," I was like, "To be fair, I mean, Bianca is probably 100% muscle. Between the two of you, that cannot be that hard to squat." Right? Still wrong. Peyton. This is why we can't drink on the podcast. Peyton looks like a light bitch. Again, I'm sure that she's probably got a lot of muscle on her. Between Bianca and Natty, like I'm not that impressed by the two of you right now.
Yeah.
Go squat like fucking Shayna or something, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, wow.
Or Charlotte.
If that happened tonight, I probably would have had to I would have to leave the room. I wouldn't be able to make it.
One of my dream matches right now is Bianca versus Charlotte, honestly. I think that would be an amazing matchup.
I was thinking about this recently. I didn't. This is the stupidest cop out in the world. I didn't have my glasses on for the commercial with Charlotte Flair.
Uh-huh.
I saw Charlotte's face, so that told me enough. I'm kind of curious as to how this is going to go down with her coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I based on your reaction, I don't think there's anything indicative as to like when she was coming back, where she was coming back, how she was coming back. But it does bring me back to the tweet that she posted, or I don't know, I saw it as a tweet. It may have been an Instagram post. She was on green screen in her wrestling gear. I don't know how that plays into this.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know either. Unless it's a pre-recorded segment for Monday or Friday.
Well, okay, so what worries me the most here, I'm worried that they're going to Carmella her.
Please no. Please no.
Or not even Carmella her, but Bianca her, where it's like we get 41 fucking promos about her, and then we get Charlotte. Which, to be fair, it's Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
No, Charlotte Flair comes back, whether there's 40 promos before it or not. It's Charlotte Flair coming back, and I'm losing my shit.
I don't think we'll get that. Just because with a big superstar like Charlotte Flair, you'll want a one-and-done reveal, like Edge or Randy Orton at Royal Rumble. You'll want something like that.
We already didn't get our one and done because we have this promo with her.
Because you wanna tease it at the Undertaker's final farewell and then actually bring her in for one of your episodes so that people will tune in. That's exactly what I predicted. I think on Friday that we would get Taker's final farewell, and we would get a minor appearance from Charlotte so that people will continue to tune in to their regular episodes. And the blue is probably going to be her showing up on SmackDown, like you said. It only makes sense.
I know it does, but I don't want her to. I don't want her to go to SmackDown.
I think her going to SmackDown's best because
I know.
there are so many opponents for her on SmackDown.
It's one of those things where it's like, the best way I can describe this to you is, for example, you're making a chocolate chip cookie.
Okay.
Follow me on this for a second. Taking a chocolate chip cookie, and you realize, oh fuck, I don't have any chocolate chips. You're like, well, I've got these white chocolate chips, so you use those, right? And then you kind of sit back and you're like, I don't really want a fucking white chocolate chip cookie. It doesn't sound delicious at all.
Mm-hmm.
Then you realize, oh, I've got these Reese's peanut butter cups, and you're like, okay.
I'm sorry. Wait. What peanut butter cups?
Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh, I don't know what those are.
I feel like that video of John Moxley and Renee right now. Where he says wolf strong.
Woofs.
Woofs.
For the record, everybody.
Fair, I'm pretty sure I say woofs.
For the record, everybody, Liz pronounces Reese's as Reese's, and then pieces.
It's not Reese's! It's stupid if you say Reese's.
And then pieces like PCs.
It's Reese's Pieces.
It's okay. We all pronounce things wrong every now and then. But anyway, do we want to continue on with the match? The match that was very long.
Hang on. I have to change the setting. There we go. Okay. Now, let me just tell you, it's Reese's Pieces. I was trying to make an analogy. It's just, you got these things that don't actually fit in the fucking cookie. You're like, this sucks. Then you realize you got a fucking Hershey's bar in the goddamn cabinet, and you're like, fuck. You use the Hershey's bar in the fucking cookie dough, and now you got this massive, awesome fucking cookie. Until you get the Hershey's bar, cookie's kind of like, alright, this is weird. I guess we're gonna go with it. The point is that that's how SmackDown is right now. SmackDown is just like, oh, we got what we got, I guess. Charlotte coming back to SmackDown is like, this is exactly what we need. But while I'm standing here watching it happen, I'm like, I would rather we didn't do it this way.
But think of Charlotte versus Bianca. Think of Charlotte versus Carmella. Think of Charlotte versus Sasha or Bayley.
Can I think of Carmella versus how she's ever going to have anything but that one uniform? Can I think of that first?
But can we also think of this match that we have to talk about?
Oh, you want to talk about the match? Yeah.
You are the one who wanted to run through this podcast.
I know, I did, because I wanted to. The thing is that I wanted to relax before having to go to work because I need to shower and do other stuff. Then I remembered how much I love talking. It's me every time. Anyways, Liv gets in. Ruby gets in too. Peyton trips Ruby before tagging Shayna in. There's a hip check into a backbreaker, which is like one of my favorite Shayna moves as of lately. It's just like she like picks the person up, smacks them against her hip, and then brings them down into the backbreaker. And I'm like, teach me, Shayna. So small. I just want to do that. She kicks Ruby a couple times before tagging Nia in. Ruby looks like she's fucking frightened as shit. Billy tags in on Ruby. And then it's Liv and Bayley attacking Nia. Liv is somehow legal in this. I don't remember Bayley tagging her in at any point. Nia then drops Liv. Lana tags in. This is where we start our problems for a majority of the match on both a wrestling and on a personal scale. Liv kicks Lana. There's a jackknife cover, and Liv managed to bridge herself free, which absolutely fucked the commentators tonight. I know it was Corey and I think it was Corey and Samoa Joe, and maybe Michael Cole or Tom. It was one or the other. But they were like, "Wow, great core strength from Liv," and I was like, "Can we just say one more note than just great core strength, she bridged out of a fucking cover. We very rarely see that.
I don't know about you, but I think Liv was incredible tonight.
She's alright.
And there was I just watched the highlight on Reddit where Liv is slamming Lacey's face into the mat repeatedly, and the whole time Liv is like, or Lacey's like smacking her hand down as her head's going up and down. It's like, ref, she's tapping out right there. Why didn't you do anything? But I think Liv is the perfect medium between divas and brutal, tough, rough and tough wrestling.
Let me just give one criticism. I have one criticism for Liv. If she did not do this one thing, I would love her as a wrestler.
Is it the screaming?
The screaming. The screaming, it's one thing, like, I know wrestlers scream. I know, like, we make fun of Finn for making his stupid fucking noises. Keith Lee was doing some weird noises today. It's normal. It's how people make fun of tennis players.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to do all of, because that was around the time that she started screaming. To do all of that while screaming and then stand up, turn to the other team, scream at them like you're a 4-year-old. That part is strange to me, and I don't like it. And I made the same criticism to you personally after watching some up, down, down video where Sasha was screaming the entire time, and I was like, as a person who personally does not scream very often, I don't like that.
But I think regardless of the screaming, she's still like one of the better wrestlers that I guess now SmackDown has. It
could steer utilized in a way that was not just.
As much as I love the Riot Squad, I think Ruby's really holding her back. Because Ruby is not Ruby's not a great wrestler. Liv though really is. Apart from her screaming, she is incredible in the ring.
I think that Ruby is an okay wrestler. I think that the problem right now is that Ruby and Liv, their whole background before SmackDown was Nia and Shayna. Their recent background, rather. Sorry, not their whole background, but it was Nia and Shayna. Ruby looked pretty decent against the Iconics when that was happening. Nia and Shayna came into the picture, and it was stupid. Like, obviously, they're two small people versus two very big people.
Mm-hmm.
And then they moved to SmackDown, where it was before Survivor Series, and a lot of just elimination matches, because SmackDown doesn't give a shit about women's tag. So,
yeah.
This all comes back down to how they book women.
It really sucks. But that just makes me appreciate NXT a lot more. And I know we've been bringing up NXT in every single conversation we have, but it's literally the brand that does almost everything right. Besides firing problematic people, they gotta fire Velveteen Dream.
The moral of the story is that NXT is the best thing that the WWE has right now.
It is. It really is. Besides Bray Wyatt.
Except there's always like that catch-22. Every brand where it's like, at least Raw and SmackDown don't have super problematic people. But the wrestling's kind of boogers, and NXT has great wrestling and just, a couple of creeps and, Drake Wirtz, who, mind you, we didn't have to see once tonight because they've apparently sent him down to the minors, aka NXT, where we still have to fucking see him. I hope Bronson Reed gets his little fucking hands on him.
Yeah. Bronson Reed seems like our Chris Hansen right now.
Bronson Reed straight up, it's funny to me that like Bronson Reed has not had a match since last week when he was kind of supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And Drake Wirtz has been reffing on NXT, but has suspiciously been absent from WWE main roster events. It's so interesting to me. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, not to talk about NXT all night.
We have not gotten through the women's match yet.
When War Games comes around, we're fucked. um, anyways, so yeah. There's a hip check into a backbreaker. Yeah, we talked about that. Nia tags in. Ruby looks a little skittish. Bailey tags in on her. It's Liv and Bailey. We talked about that. Liv is legal. Nia drops. Liv, Lana tags in. That's where we left off. Liv kicks Lana. There's a jackknife cover. Liv bridges free. We talked about that. And there's a kick to the head of Liv. Natty gets in. And a shoulder tackle to Lana. And a kick to Natty's spine. As well as Natty's head. No one wants to tag in on Liv or on Lana. Finally, after this whole shebang of like no one wants to tag in on her, Nia tags in. And then they scream at Lana and tell her to stay the fuck out of the game, don't get into the ring, don't tag in, stand on the stairs. Lana looks like she is role playing as a little while she pouts on the stairs like, I was like, I feel uncomfortable on so many levels at this hour, but okay, thank you. And then while Lana is pouting like a child, which by the way, because the whole point of like Lana getting thrown through the table is that it was supposed to build up sympathy for us, so that when she finally gets over, we're all like, oh my god, Lana, look at you, you're doing amazing. This just made me not like her more, because I was like, can you maybe, I don't know, stand up for yourself? Concept.
Yeah.
A mere concept.
Yeah, this was the same person who was touted as being like the leader to the women's scene back a few months ago with Natty. This is also the same woman that was married to Miro, is currently married, or was married to Rusev, is currently married to Miro, and had an affair with Bobby Lashley. And that shows she has balls, that she's willing to go behind Rusev's back and do shit like that. She's got balls.
I'm sorry. Now that you're bringing this up, because I'm looking at Lana now versus Lana with Bobby and Lana with Miro. Lana, the one who's screaming at Bobby Lashley for doing fuck all during matches when he was losing to Drew. Where is that Lana?
She's
screaming at a grown-ass man, and she can't scream at Shayna and I. Now she's just standing on some steel steps and going...
She used to be a conniving bitch.
And now she's just a puss.
Yeah. But to be fair, how this match was won, I kind of have no problem with it, because it's just Lana wins by doing absolutely nothing.
Let me just say something. If that is not the most indicative shit how the main roster treats their women wrestlers, may we look at the evidence. Lana was second fiddle to Bobby Lashley's little song. And Lana was fucking incredible. She was a bitch. And now Lana is the first fiddle in the goddamn orchestra. And let me tell you something. She's a puss, and I can't stand it.
But in all fairness, they had Lana win while also protecting Bianca from getting a pin. So they made Bianca still look great and take out Nia, but gave the win to Raw.
We'll talk about how you think she was protecting her in the next 5 seconds. You just said that she was protecting her.
No, WWE is protecting Bianca.
I sorry, I thought you said Lana was.
No.
That confused me. Anyways, so let's get back into the match. Bailey pummels Peyton before sending her face first into the buckle. There's a suplex to Peyton and a kick to the teeth of Bailey. Peyton looked pretty fucking good tonight. She got her, I finally learned the name of this move. She managed the tarantula onto Bailey. Bailey tagged Bianca in. Then Bianca did what Bianca does best, which is lifted Peyton over her fucking head. Kind of goofed around for a second and then threw her into the buckle, which was essentially a buckle bomb, but we are calling it the snake eyes. There's an elbow drop off the top rope to Peyton from Bailey. Natty takes Lana out. Bianca then shuts Shayna down. We get Nia in, and she takes Liv and Ruby off of the fucking ring. Bayley gets in, takes Nia's legs out, knocks her out of the ring. Peyton gets up to the top rope with Bayley in arms and throws her down onto everyone. Peyton takes herself with Bayley, just taking out everyone from SmackDown and Raw. So it's kind of collateral damage at that point. We get back to Bayley and Peyton in the ring. Peyton gets the deja vu on Bayley, gets her out. It's Peyton versus Natalya. There's a lot of kicks to Natalya. Natalya drops Peyton onto her tailbone. There's a single leg crab on Natty. Natty manages to reach Bianca. And then there's something that should have been something. I don't know if she was going for like a figure four. I don't know what she was going for. She botched the shit out of it. I don't know what that was. She like lost Peyton's fucking leg in the fucking midst of it.
It looked like some weird kind of ankle lock.
It looked like she was going from a sharpshooter almost, or not even a sharpshooter, but maybe like a crab into a figure four. And then the way that Peyton's legs move, because there are joints in them, just did not cooperate with her.
Also, after we talk about this match, do you mind if I run to the bathroom very quickly?
You're gonna make me riff?
Yeah.
You better be quick as shit. Natty manages the sharpshooter on Peyton. Gets her out. Lacey gets in. Lacey clotheslines Natty. Lacey then goes from the second rope to the top rope for her moonsault. Natty rolls away. The woman's right takes Natty out, though. We then have Bianca in. Clothesline to Bianca and then a facebuster to Lacey. Bianca goes up to the top rope, but Shayna distracts her. Somehow, Lacey does a Spanish fly off the top rope. Ruby and Liv break up the cover. And then we have this whole ordeal of Nia's in against Ruby, and then Liv gets in, Ruby gets in, Ruby gets dropped, Liv gets in, Ruby gets in, Liv takes Nia's legs out, there's a drop kick with Nia. Liv gets in, Ruby gets in, Liv gets in. That is exactly how my notes go. It was a little exhausting. It was very clear Ruby did not know what to do with Nia. There were double knees to the face of Nia from Liv, and then an enziguri to Nia from Shayna. From Ruby. Shayna gets in. There's a shiny wizard to Ruby. A failed elbow stomp onto Ruby. Ruby tries to roll Shayna up. Ruby goes off the top rope, but is immediately caught by Shayna into the Kirifuda clutch. Ref does not see the cover. Ruby is passed out and therefore eliminated. Liv begins attacking Lacey. There's an enziguri to the face, and then a bunch of stomps in the corner. This is around the time that Liv starts just fucking pummeling Lacey and screaming at everybody. There's a dropkick off the ropes to Lacey, and then a crucifix bomb to Lacey, which looked really fucking cool.
Oh, yeah.
Taking Lacey out, the announcer, very obvious to you, me, and fucking Michael Cole and everybody else, Mr. Mike Rome, took his sweet fucking time to announce that Lacey was out. Because Mike Rome has been pulling double duty because Greg Hamilton has fucked off to 205 Live, I guess. So Mike Rome is just in charge of everything now, and I think Mike Rome fell asleep on the job while Lacey got fucking counted out. My poor dude. That's why on December 19th, we are having the Mike Romies. It's our awards show for the WWE, where we talk about our favorite things that happened, and I don't know what we're going to do. We've got a lot of fucking awards, though, and I'm really excited. I've been planning this since probably July.
Yeah.
Soon. We'll also start at like a normal hour so that we're not going until 2 a.m. Probably. Maybe. I can't promise anything. So then it is Liv versus Nia. Liv screams, "Ready, bitch!" Because we're not censoring anything this pay-per-view. There's a DDT to Nia Jax from Liv, and then an enziguri. Stunning as it is, Liv does get Simone dropped in kind of a botched manner. She gets counted out from that. And then it's just Bianca. There's a drop kick to Nia. Bianca just starts unloading. I was like, maybe this is what all the promos were for. Maybe this is how it ends. Bianca goes for the splash, but Nia lifts her knees. She gets slammed to the mat by Nia. There's a leg drop to Bianca, and then somehow, against all odds, Bianca kicks out. I believe I missed the part where. Sorry, I did. Shayna got, obviously, as we talked about, counted out because Shayna held on to Ruby's neck for the run. I jumped ahead. I thought that it happened earlier.
It did happen earlier.
It did not.
Oh. Okay.
So yeah. There's a leg drop to Bianca. She kicks out. Then Bianca kind of kicks Nia Jax right in the lady bits, sending her off the ropes. Shayna gets in. Kirifuda clutch to Bianca, but it's kind of loose. We get a belly back suplex to break up the hold, but right back into the Kirifuda. Bianca tries to stand up while this is happening. Finally, she manages to reach the ropes, collapses doing so. Shayna does not let go, even though Bianca has reached the ropes, and she is counted out to 5 and then DQ'd because Bianca obviously has reached safety and Shayna has not let go. So Nia then tries to drop Bianca through the announce desk, but she wiggles free. She then tries to, Bianca tries to throw Nia over the barricade. And just as she does this, just in time for her to reach the fucking ring, before she can crawl back in, she is counted out. Nia is counted out. Therefore, Lana is the only sole survivor of the match.
Lana wins by doing absolutely nothing.
Like, here's the thing, is like, if your whole point is to get Lana over on us, it didn't do anything for me.
I think it makes Shayna and Nia more pissed at Lana, and now they have no reason not to just attack her, thus making another feud. Because if this didn't happen, the feud between Lana, Nia, and Shayna would just be gone. It would be gone after Survivor Series. But now there is reason to keep it going. I need to run to the bathroom if you want to riff for a little bit. All right.
Try. All right. God, I don't like riffing. I have had 3 cocktails and 3 hard seltzers. Okay. And I haven't eaten since June. Thought about ordering food, and then I didn't do it. I mean, I had some wheat thins and I had some cranberries. Yeah, stay healthy. Those antioxidants, you know? But I haven't eaten since then, so I need, like, real food. But I just want to talk about the fact that, like, Undertaker had his, like, goodbye. And I was kind of hoping that would be Mark Calloway, not just Undertaker. Like, you know, maybe, like, a good old Kurt Angle farewell speech. We didn't really get that. And I don't know. I think it would have been nice to, like, say goodbye to, like, the person. I can't really speak on what he wanted. This was how he wanted things to go. But it almost made it sadder. Because, like, we're quite literally saying goodbye to the Undertaker. I kind of wish that we would see Mark Calloway. But it is what it is. I'm glad that they didn't have any interference in the end, like any like Fiend stuff or shit like that. I don't think that would have boded well. I think that would just kind of like made it like, well, there to go. No, not one last match, not one last Undertaker interferes in a match, because match that's coming out, I kind of thought that was what was going to happen. I kind of thought that like he would appear, but it didn't make sense because Roman's a heel now, Drew's a face. Last time Undertaker was around for this feud, particularly, Roman was a face, Drew was a heel, so it was like, I don't really have Taker come back and defeat Roman, but you can't have him come back and hurt a face. Thank God Mark is back. I can't do this. Welcome back.
What's going on? What were you talking about?
Let's talk about Undertaker.
Okay. All right. So that match is over. You want to talk about the? You want to talk about the big match, the big boys?
Because I got a shower.
Okay.
Right. So we had Roman versus Drew, and my God, somehow Drew McIntyre lost. It was horrible. I wanted to kill myself. Oh, somehow, because somebody interfered in the match. Oh, if Drew had somebody interfere in the match, maybe he would have fucking won.
No. What this shows is that Drew and Roman are on very equal strength levels and like kind of on the same level in terms of physical attributes. But
it shows that Roman and Jay are on the same level as Drew.
No, Liz. During the actual match, they were on equal levels. But what Roman has that Drew doesn't is family.
Oh, fuck off!
Too fast, Drew furious. Let's go.
Oh, you can recap the match. Go
All
ahead.
right.
I want you to go note for note.
Drew started off. He gave a Claymore kick to Roman, and then Paul Heyman ran in the ring, smacked Drew across the head with the belt. Bam! Paul Heyman pinned Drew. Match over, and then Rikishi ran in the ring, tackled Paul Heyman, and then Hornswoggle dropped from the ceiling and missed both of them completely, landing on the announce desk. And the match was over. Fade to black. Undertaker, final farewell. Let's go. Bring it.
I wish I were dead. Right, so the actual match that happened. A lot of standing around. A lot of touching and kissing. Yeah. Sensual petting. Heavy petting. A lot of heavy petting to start.
It was a very slow build of a match.
Very slow build, which gave me a lot of time to be like, I am just so straight for the two of them. Pains me on a semi-daily basis. It's not fair. I'm not straight. Those are men. And yet, every time I think about Drew McIntyre, just drags me back in. We get a side headlock takedown to Drew and then a shoulder tackle to Roman, as well as the second one. We get a kick to Drew's side and a punch. Drew bounces off the buckle. We get some more punches and stomps. They're exchanging blows for a while. Then there's some more stomps to Roman in the corner, as well as Chopped featuring Drew McIntyre as your host to Roman Reigns. Roman begins every time I make that note, by the way, especially when it pertains to Drew. I just think of this one episode, Chopped Canada, where they had to use haggis, and they had a Scottish judge who was like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are doing. And I saw it, and I was like, that's vile. Roman begins unloading on Drew in the corner. Drew gets sent into the post, and then out of the ring, driven into the steps. There's a suplex to Drew by Roman. Roman wrenches Drew down to the ground. And then, it was a clothesline, but it was like a Superman clothesline because it's Roman. To Drew. And then Drew says, no. Clothesline the piss out of Roman. And we get some sweet, sweet exploder belly-to-belly fucking suplexes. We get a fucking RKO. We get a fucking kip up. And I said, that's enough. That's enough. I don't need any more than that. Thank you. Anyways, and then we get a failed future shock DDT, as you might expect, because it's Drew's new thing. And then a failed Samoan drop, which becomes a massive Samoan drop to Drew. But I don't know what that word is. Oh, I do. Roman tries to Superman punch, but it does not work. There's a spine buster to Roman, and then a jackknife cover. I don't even need names in these notes to know what the fuck is happening here. I died because it's in all caps, which means that it was Drew. Drew then shoves Roman into the barricade and then the post and then the stairs. There's a hard right fucking hit to Drew and it drops him down to his little knees. There's I dream about every day. A Glasgow kiss. Sure me. And then a kick to the face of Drew. Also a sure me. Drew says, okay, and then kicks Roman in the face. Then we get a Superman punch right into a Future Shock DDT. A failed Claymore, as you would expect, because we got the Future Shock DDT, and then Drew sat in the fucking corner and said, stand up, stand up. And then it didn't work. Because this is how this always goes. Every fucking time. But as a Gemini, I know we just keep trying stuff until it maybe does work. Never does. That failed Claymore leads us right into the worst goddamn moment of the night, which is the Superman punch. Drew then slams Roman into the buckle. We get a nice old suplex to Roman. Just one more exploder belly to belly because we need to get that out of the system. We get another failed Claymore. Backer. Then Roman spears Drew, and for the second time tonight, we see something that we don't normally see, which is spear doesn't quite work so well because Drew uses his own momentum and Roman's momentum to bring Roman down into a Kimura. Which maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I don't watch enough wrestling or haven't watched enough older Drew McIntyre wrestling, which is probably not true because I've watched a lot of older Drew McIntyre wrestling. I have not once seen my dude go into a Kimura lock. I haven't seen that once. Suddenly we have submission-based Drew, and I said, talk about that on the podcast, but damn. Roman manages to grab the ropes. Drew gets slammed into the table twice. The second time it fucking breaks. First time it didn't. First time it didn't fucking break. Second time we must have hit that right scored line. Then we get a spear through the barricade to Drew, a kick to the head of Roman, and then a spear to Drew again. Drew just simply will not die at this point. And then Roman stands up and looks at Joe, Samoa Joe, who's part of the announce table, and says, "This is for you, Joe." And I said, "What is this about? What does this have to do with anything, Roman?" And I only know that he was talking specifically to Joe because I heard the Joe part, and I said, "Are you talking in third person? What's happening here?" And then Tom mentions to Joe, like, I think he's talking to you. He said, Samoa Joe finally coming back, but going to SmackDown. There is a Claymore directly into a cold-blooded ref murder. I said, oh no, lady voice ref was down and out. Then, because there is no ref, Jey Uso comes in to attack Drew, which is something I saw from a mile fucking out. I remembered Jey halfway through this match, and I said, oh no. Quite out loud to Mark. I said, Jey's coming back. And Mark did not register that at all, apparently, because when Jey came back, you seemed quite shocked because you didn't listen to me. But Jey comes in, attacks Drew. Jey gets shoved away. First of all, he doesn't really get any moves out on Drew. But Roman does what Roman does absolutely best, which is punching people in the balls, which he's done to Braun, now he's done to Drew. Maybe they can have like a bonding session on Monday about it. He punches Drew in the balls, and then Jey comes in and super kicks him. And then we get the good old Mark's favorite fucking finisher to bring him the win this fucking Survivor Series, the good old Superman punch. Now the locked and loaded Superman punch.
That wasn't what gave him the win.
And then the guillotine. And a new official came in and counted Drew out. Even though, mind you, guillotine was locked in ref was like, "Oh shit, Drew, are you dead?" And Drew kicked his little leggies around. I said, "He's not dead." And the ref said, "He's dead." I said, "That's not how that works." But I guess the Roman wins.
Will you ever be objective about any match with Drew?
I will be, but Drew did move his legs, which should signal some form of leg.
Okay, then that's the fault of Drew because he was supposed to lose there, but still moved his legs.
Okay, fine. Drew, should have moved your legs. One way or the other. Now I'm mad because I thought he should have won. It doesn't change my anger levels. It just changes who I blame.
Alright, so I think that match was 100% better than the match that we had gotten between them originally when we had faced Roman, heel Drew, a year ago. 100% better.
It was better, especially because Roman was relying more on his Superman punch back then, which we've luckily seen a lessening of. Yeah. I still was not as impressed with this match as I wanted to be, or what it was. But again, it does make me wonder if maybe I know that this is not what's going to happen. Okay, so I guess my problem here is that we are told this is a WrestleMania level match multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't feel like WrestleMania level match.
I really liked it. I think the slow build worked perfectly for it. We saw enough new stuff from Drew, enough counters from Roman. Roman still looking dominant.
If Roman had won, just based on like maybe like a couple spears, like a series of spears or something like that, or even if Roman had won and the original ref was there to count on the guillotine, I would have been more impressed. Because we did not get that, because we got the interference and we got the second ref, it ruined the ending for me. And that's not to say that it's because Drew lost. Like, yeah, that upset me. But because of the interference, that definitely made me more displeased with the match, because it's like, okay, so you needed Jay to win. That's what that always tells me whenever I see
Roman.
Interference. Like, Roman needed Jay to win here. Because at the end of the day, that's what really got him that win. Because that set him up for the low blow and then the guillotine. If Jay had not come out, if Roman had just gotten it off on the guillotine alone, I would have been like, this fucking sucks. I'm still mad, but like, fair fight.
I know, but it gives us a lot of story development, especially on the side of Roman. Roman can now admit to himself that he's nothing without his family.
Where does it lead us to? We had a plethora of storyline with Roman and Jay already.
Mm-hmm.
Where does this lead us with Drew? It's like, I think the storyline that we needed was Drew.
Where this leads us, and I'm glad I see it now, is Sheamus saying, I told you you should have joined Team Raw. You could have been a winner like us, but instead you went off on your own and lost to Roman. What does that make you? And then Sheamus goes for the title thinking he's so much better than Drew now because he won, Drew lost.
Drew's the champion. Drew went off on his own and became the champion and accomplished the goal he set out to have. So at the end of the day, he still kind of achieved what he wanted. It just was a sour chapter in the middle of it.
But it's also,
he got the title back.
It's also WWE writing, so that's where they're probably going to push it, is Sheamus going after him.
But also, you are basing this off of, and again, this is actually biased talking because I don't want to see Drew and Sheamus have a feud. The only reason that you are saying this is because Drew said it would be cool to fight Sheamus because they're friends and they've trained together since like they were babies. I don't think that that's where this is going because that was just Drew talking out of his ass, which is what Drew does best. I don't think that they're setting up for a Sheamus feud.
It's not the only thing I'm basing this off of. Most of it is looking at where these two matches ended, and where nobody in either of these matches have any paths to go, and the only way they can go is intertwining with each other. So, but if you want,
I think the only thing I have to say about that is just Sheamus picked Drew up after Drew lost the title and kind of encouraged him to go for, because he was the one who presented him with a chest before his match with Randy.
I know.
If Sheamus didn't believe in Drew going after the title and joining Team Raw instead, if Sheamus didn't believe in that, he wouldn't have gone to that length.
Okay, but also, there's nothing that says a feud has to be two people hating each other. It can be more friendly competition.
Right. No, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, going off of what you said, as far as, like, Sheamus being like, well, you could have joined us and been winners. I think it would have made more, that would make more sense if Team Raw lost, because then Sheamus could be like, you could have joined us, we could have won. You didn't. You lost, we lost. We're both sad. Instead, he helped Drew work towards getting that title back. I don't think that it makes so much sense for him to be like, it could have been a winner. Because, like, that would also encourage, that would have to have part of Drew being like, it could have been a winner. But then if he had been the winner on that team, he wouldn't have the title. We all know that the title means more to Drew than, like, God itself.
I don't know. We are talking as if we're speaking in definites when we know absolutely nothing about what's going to happen next. So let's talk about Undertaker's final farewell. So we started off with Mike Rome in the ring, and one by one he announced every member of Undertaker's past in his career to have this final farewell. I can't name everyone who was brought into the ring, but the most notable ones are Shawn Michaels, Kane, who came in all of his gear, Jeff Hardy, who had one match with Undertaker. You had Kevin Nash, you had JBL, you had Rikishi, a lot of people from Undertaker's history. And they were all there for one moment. One moment. They were there for 5 seconds. And then we cut to Vince McMahon in the ring all alone, talk about The Undertaker, specifically waiting for the petri dish of old men to leave the ring so that he can get in all by himself. Introduces The Undertaker, and then we see prior to that we saw a montage of The Undertaker. And then we get his intro, he comes out, and we get a long, nice moment of him in the ring with his music playing, effects happening all around him. He gives a little speech. We see a hologram of Paul Bearer. But the most important thing here is that we had a moment with Undertaker as hopefully his final farewell until his induction into the Hall of Fame, which will hopefully be in front of a crowd, unlike today, which is very unfortunate. But it was a great moment that I wish was in front of a crowd to honor this incredible wrestler that has completely shaped professional wrestling forever. And that's exactly what Vince McMahon said, that nothing lasts forever, but The Undertaker's legacy just might.
I think the one thing that they could have done differently here was very simply, and it's a very small thing, but we had everybody come out. We had the Undertaker, like, montage. And then we came back to a darkened ring, and the lights came back up. It was Vince. And when we came back to a darkened ring, I expected gong, music, Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect Vince. That really ruined it for me because it was like, why would he come? Like, even if they come back to a lit up ring, it's a very small thing, but it's like, because it's so Undertaker-y to come back to a darkened ring, I immediately was like, Undertaker's here. We're ready. And then I didn't hear the gong. I just heard Vince, and I was like, ah.
We should have had Vince talking when everyone came out to honor him. That would have been the best thing to do. And then we go to the montage and then come back to Undertaker. But it's...
And if we're going off of, like, safety, like, for Vince, the 75-year-old man, to not be in the middle of the ring with a bunch of other people, he could have stood at the top of the ramp, and it still would have been just as interesting.
Yeah.
It was just that, like, return to, like, the dark ring, no gong, Vince McMahon. He introduces Undertaker. The ring goes from what was to dark to Thunderdome lights to dark Undertaker entrance. It was like so much stuff happening for what should be a very, 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 for it to be pivotal, a very simple entrance.
Yeah.
Dark and lights.
I mean, I personally don't want to go into like the music and everything because although that was bad, I do think this was a great way to honor the Undertaker. I'm talking as if he's dead right now. He's not. He's very much alive and a Blue Lives Matter supporter. But the Undertaker.
We'll overlook the personal stuff.
Yeah, the Undertaker himself was an icon among professional wrestling. Even people who don't know professional wrestling know of the Undertaker. And I think this was probably the best way they could have, best way without a crowd to have honored his legacy. Although there are some kinks that could have been ironed out.
I mean, even like before, back when I was younger, obviously his career is older than I am. Even before I knew who he was, I knew who he was. Just based on like the people in my like school wearing his shirts and stuff. So it is hard to judge. Like, obviously, again, we're not going to talk about Mark Calloway as the person, but I think the one thing I can take from this without criticizing anything that happened technically is I just really hope that Undertaker is leaving. I hope that he's leaving. I hope that this is quite literally his final farewell. I do not want him to come back and be like, one more match. Because I feel like if he comes back for one more match, it's going to be because Vince was like, money.
The only thing I want him to come back for is the Hall of Fame induction.
Right. I think that the main thing here is that you really just hope that Undertaker can leave this, and hopefully this is exactly how he wanted it all to go. I just really hope that he can leave this and find some joy in just being who he is as he is.
Yeah.
And maybe going into doing like training for people and stuff like that.
Just do advertisements.
He is one thing that we talked about, like when you overlook the fact that like his like political leanings and stuff like that, if you overlook that, you can kind of hope that maybe because of like how safe he was as a wrestler, maybe he'll go into training and stuff like that, because that's what wrestlers really need right now. Especially young ones coming up. You want them to be safe, and he was prolifically safe. Especially for how rough a lot of his moves could be.
Yeah.
And how dangerous he could possibly be. Especially since like his signature was basically a pile driver. You kind of hope that like somebody like that can kind of train other people in the future and make them better than they could be. And at the end of the day, I just really hope that like he comes out of this and he's like, this is what I wanted. This is how I go. I can now relax and like enjoy my life as Mark Calloway and not feel objected to come back.
Right. Yeah. But that's the tribute. Um,
Kane came back in full fucking gear, and I was like,
we thought he was
you could,
gonna wrestle Undertaker.
it's like you could just come back in a suit, Kane. It's fine. Everyone else came back looking normal. It's like that fucking like it's like an 8-year-old tweet now, but like that person that like went to like a Halloween party, thinking it was a costume party, but they dressed up as the Babadook. That's what this felt like. Kane just came out like, "Hello, I'm Kane." I was like,
And he
"All right,
apparently he
sure."
went to the opposite corner that everyone else was standing in. Because he was just either he was just in his gimmick or he was just mad that he was told that it was a costume or a gear event.
Oh, poor Kane.
But now we should move on to the best of the night.
Yes, please go get a shower.
So I don't even want to run through the promos today. I think there's only one option for the promo of the night, even if it's not perfect, and that's Undertaker's final farewell. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it's the best they could have done. Okay, so wrestler of the
Sad to
night.
hear that music for the last time.
Yeah,
Fucking sick ass walkout.
best walkout in all of professional wrestling. So wrestler of the night. We started off with the Battle Royale. Chad Gable, I think, looked the best. He definitely had the most solo time in the ring, and that's because he was one of the last people left. So it turned into a triple threat, just a regular wrestling match. He looked fantastic, and I hope this is a start to him becoming like a huge part of the storyline in, what is he, SmackDown? Yeah. After that, we had the men's 5-on-5 elimination match. I think the best person here was maybe AJ Styles. Not only for his wrestling, but also for his captaining, because he is the best captain in all of Survivor Series history. The fact that he was able to pull this team of angry people and end up sweeping the elimination match. Yeah, no, he was fantastic. Although it is a 5-on-5 elimination match, so it's hard to have anybody really stand out. I think AJ really did because he had the most time. But I do want to just shout out the whole team because everyone on that Raw team looked fantastic. Even Braun, who normally just looks lame, he looked great. After that, we had the New Day versus the Street Profits, and both of the Street Profits looked fantastic. But I think I do want to give it to Tez at the end of the day. He just looked on top of the world. He looked super crazy and energetic and full of life. And pulling off a ton of new moves while at it. I want to give it to Dox for really giving us that crazy move. But Dox had some moments where I wasn't sure. Mainly those like twist splashes into the corner. Those don't do it for me, and I know they don't do it for you, Liz.
I hate them.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Tez for this match. But after that we had Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley. I gotta go with Bobby because Sami didn't do so much. Bobby really was the one who did really anything in this match. Plus the suplex with the flex that he did with I think it was against Ricochet or somebody in Retribution. I don't know. Slapjack. It was with Slapjack, where he did the flex as he was holding a suplex. It was great. Then we had Asuka versus Sasha Banks. I picked Sasha Banks for this. Sasha looked fantastic. She looked great. But it's the same match we have been seeing with these two. Yeah, Sasha was the entirely same person that we've seen 50,000 times in this matchup. She was the same angry, frustrated person that we've been seeing. So, after that, we had the women's 5-on-5 elimination match. I picked Bianca. mostly because she had the most time in the ring to herself. But she did look fantastic, and the fact that she was able to convincingly eliminate Nia Jax is huge. But she's also one of the most talented women's wrestlers on the main roster right now. Active on the main roster. After that, finally, we had Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. And this is tough for me, but picking between these two, but I think I want to give it to Roman in this match, primarily because of his character moments where there were moments where he was just talking to himself in the corner, just completely like shocked that that the match has lasted this long and Drew hasn't been pinned yet. I think this Roman really shows why heel Roman is the best Roman. And he really supported Drew in this, and that Drew looked fantastic, but a lot of it had to do with Roman being such a goddamn evil heel and such a big heel that Drew just came off as like the ultimate biggest babyface in history. Mm-hmm. With all that said, my pick for Wrestler of the Night, 100%, I think it's Roman. Roman was just, even though he threw out so many Superman punches, I still think he looked like the best wrestler today. And one of the best wrestlers to exist right now in the WWE.
I don't want to do this forever. I want to shower, but I don't agree with you.
You're gonna go with Drew, aren't you?
Drew looked a lot better.
Yep. I knew you're gonna say Drew.
We didn't have a fucking Superman punch from Drew. That ruins it every time for me. It looks so silly.
But
it makes him look so foolish.
Besides that one move, what did we see new from Drew today? That was better than normal.
Kimura.
I said besides that one move.
What else did we see from Roman that was better than normal?
We saw a heightened Roman that was put to the limits against this opponent that no other opponent in this new age of Roman has put him to.
Yeah, but Drew didn't have anybody else come out to help him.
I'm talking about up until that point.
Okay, up until that point, we saw Drew, who was fighting through everything, who still managed to pull off a suplex. I mean, you can rub your eyes and you can say, oh, it's just because Liz likes Drew McIntyre. No, I just thought that Roman looked silly. I thought that Drew managed to do stuff after trying time and time again. I mean, we had like 2 failed Claymores before we got an actual Claymore. We got a Future Shock DDT, which we don't normally get nowadays. Roman just didn't look like the Roman that I wanted to see tonight. Drew looked like Drew. That was it. Roman didn't look like the Roman I needed to see. Roman didn't look like the Roman against Jay. And once you put those images together, once I put Drew versus anybody, which is just Drew McIntyre, against Roman versus what is potentially one of his best matches to date, which is him against Jay. I'm sorry. Maybe he shouldn't have fucking cried at Hell in a Cell. Him just like smirking and being like, you're not going down so easily, are you? This one's for you, Joe. It's like, it didn't do anything for me. It really didn't.
I feel like you hate any wrestler that goes against Drew because you did this with Bobby Lashley, and now you really like Bobby Lashley. And when Roman fights Drew, you hate Roman, but prior to this, you really loved Roman. You loved Randy. Roman. You loved Randy up until he started really fighting Drew.
I still love Randy.
Because he's not fighting Drew anymore.
No, I loved Randy while he was fighting Drew too. I made fun of both of them at the same time. It was pretty easy. It's just, I know, I'm a lady and there's like a lot of hot guys. But
that's not what I'm saying.
One way or the other, I'm sorry. You can take my opinion how you want to. I just don't think that Roman looked as good as he normally does. Or as good as I wanted him to look in this rematch with him and Drew. I don't know what else to tell you here, but I just don't think that he looked like the Roman versus Drew that I expected when I was promised a WrestleMania level match.
Maybe that's a problem with your expectations then.
Okay, maybe, but I'm talking about the wrestler right now, and I just thought that Roman looked like Roman.
All right, well, I'm not going to concede, so right now it'll remain a tie until we get a vote in the chat deciding between Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. If we don't get a tiebreaker in the chat, then we will turn to Twitter to help us decide. So, right now it is between Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. And I don't want to discount Drew in any way. I think he was fantastic today. I think them together were the two best wrestlers of the entire pay-per-view. But personally, I was more happy with Roman Reigns' performance than Drew's. Personally. Alright, so match of the night. We started off with the Battle Royale to start in the pre-show. This was okay up until we got to the triple threat. Once we got to Chad Gable, The Miz, and Dominic, I think it was great. And then it kind of died off once The Miz came back. If they just had Dominic win, fantastic, fine, great, awesome. But The Miz coming back kind of ruined it for me. Then we had the men's 5-on-5 elimination. This was great. I mainly love this just because of the storyline with the Raw team. Seth sacrificing himself was very interesting. And I think the most interesting thing for me is that Seth sacrificed himself as the Messiah against somebody whose big thing is the cross.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably won't see Seth come back till probably Royal Rumble, where he'll probably debut a new character after the Messiah was crucified, and then he'll resurrect as something different.
Easter Messiah.
But yeah, I really like this match. I think it had a great ending too. Everything was very convincing. I saw a lot from wrestlers that I normally don't love. I saw the best in them today. So, and we also saw Keith Lee's new walkout, which is fantastic. After that, we had the New Day versus the Street Profits. Again, another fantastic match. Seeing the New Day as kind of heels was great. And the Street Profits just showing the most that they can. They really just pulled out everything. I loved it. I loved it so much. Then we had Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley, which was it was predictable. Everything about this you could basically predict. It was okay. We had Sasha Banks versus Asuka, which was a good match. Nice to finally have a clean ending to a match between these two. But besides that, it was basically everything we've seen before. After that, we had women's 5-on-5 elimination between Raw and SmackDown. This was great up until a certain point, and only certain aspects were great. Liv was great, Bianca was great, Shayna was great, Nia was good, Lana was weird, Peyton was okay, Ruby was eh. So it was very back and forth on whether or not it was a great match or not. And then we had Roman versus Drew, which I thought was fantastic. We finally got a good match between these two. Jay coming in was a little bit of a annoying interference, especially since he was kind of knocked away right in the beginning and then kind of stuck around. I thought that ending was okay. I think once we get kind of like a WrestleMania match between these two, because I think this will go to WrestleMania. If not, maybe Royal Rumble. We'll look back on this match and say, yes, this was a fantastic match, knowing it led up to a bigger match, maybe at Royal Rumble. I think the performances from each of these guys was great. Roman really put in his all. Drew looked battered to hell. Looked fantastic. It is hard to pick a best match of the night tonight. But if I was to pick just one that really excited me, from beginning to end, had me just really interested and had great wrestling and great storytelling. I don't know if you'll agree, but I will say the 5-on-5 elimination match in the men's Survivor Series match.
I just want to shower. I don't agree with you.
Are you going to say the tag team?
Yes.
That was my second place, so I will concede there because I was torn between those two.
Yeah, no, I like that so much more. I mean, the 5-on-5 was great. If it weren't a squash, it'd be better. The tag team was like, I didn't know who the fuck was winning and who the fuck was losing 90% of the time. And for Montez to use Kofi's moves against him made me mad, but like vibes.
And the New Day's walkout.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. I thought it was great. There was very little that they could have changed about that besides the fact that like I had to drink for them. That would have made me happier.
All right, so to run it back,
Montez on the apron.
What?
I said plus Montez on the apron.
Yeah.
Crawling around like a little freak.
So to run it back, our promo of the night, Undertaker's final farewell. Wrestler of the night, Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre. Match of the night, The New Day versus the Street Profits. Want to close this out?
I suppose. Hey, tune in less than 24 hours because we'll be talking about Raw. It never ends. Hopefully it'll be a slower Raw, so we can just kind of truck through that. But yeah. Thank you for tuning in if you did. If you are tuning in the future, thank you for that as well. Hope you are all staying safe during these holiday times. Go get tested for coronavirus if you don't live in an area where it takes 4 hours to get tested for coronavirus. And yeah, please tune in on Monday. We will be talking about the same shit, more or less. So.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed, hit that follow button below. You won't regret it. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Same thing, but also watch the live show. We can interact with you live. It's great. Follow us on Twitter at Pinfall Podcast. There you can help us settle who was the best wrestler of the night, Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre. You can also see whenever we post, whenever we go live. We also live tweet pay-per-views and some episodes. It's really great, really funny. And follow our personal Twitters as well. I'm at the Mark Cameron. Liz is at Eliza Elaine23. And check out the Universal Pokemon Federation on YouTube. Great kind of combination of wrestling and Pokemon. I am a member of them, so you won't want to miss. You won't want to miss a second of that. We've got a huge title match coming up, so you won't want to miss it. All right. Check us out tomorrow for Monday Night Raw, and we will see you then. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a fantastic night.